All right, another podcast from the Michigan Institute of Athletics in Brighton, Michigan. It's going to be a stellar podcast today. I have a former contestant from the show Ink Master, and we're going to talk about a little bit of his life story. We're going to talk about current issues and, just freely speak as two men. So right before we get into it, I want to shout out VetLife. VetLife is a 501c3 nonprofit company. It's a company of veterans for veterans. Every veteran faces difficulties when they transition from active duty back to civilian life, and VetLife is there to ease that transition. The best way to reach out to VetLife is to do so through Instagram or Facebook, or check out their website at vetlifetoday.org. So without further ado, I want to introduce Kyle Dunbar. Kyle, you're a celebrity as soon as you walked in the building. You walked in the building, my UFC fighter goes, hold on a second, in mid-session training, he goes, hold on a second, can I get a picture with that gentleman? And I'm like, man, of course, as long as it's okay with him.
I dare say that's been the nicest part about Ink Master is the UFC connection. And not just UFC, but MMA. Jimmy Smith was on the show, and I got to tattoo. I still tattoo him. I'm his tattoo artist. It's easy to say because I think his wife's only going to let him get 0 more tattoos. So I tell him we just keep building on the one we had, of course, and we never have to stop. But
then in theory, it's just one tattoo. Even if it ends up covering his entire body, it's one piece.
If I can bring 2 of them together, I think I have room to do a brand new, fresh one, right? So if the back piece starts to go over the shoulders into the chest piece.
Jimmy Smith, I think that was an extremely strong argument. You're an articulate guy. I think if you take that information, you present it to the wife, I think you got a winning case. So, Kyle, for the people that don't know you, let's go into your story, man. Like, were you born and raised here in Michigan? Take us
Flint,
all
Michigan.
the way back.
It was a cold day, November. No, I don't remember too much of it. I was going to try and talk about my parents getting it on, I guess, but that would be the earliest that I. But I grew up in Flint. I tried to scrape myself together. I was pretty poor. We grew up really poor, I should say. We were on welfare my whole life, and I got off it, yay. And only that's the biggest success story that I got, I think. Ink Master came and kind of became me at some point in people's minds, and so it does oftentimes override. You know what I mean? But it's nice in this world, so much nicer than say at the airport or when people just want to,
So who was Kyle Dunbar as a kid? What were you like? What were you into? What were your sports? What were your hobbies? And then how did you find tattooing?
Beecher, Michigan was the first place that we really heard about anybody getting shot in school. Kayla, the little 6-year-old girl, was shot. That was my classroom. I wasn't going there. That was about 2 years after my dad had died and we moved out. So I grew up on welfare in Flint, Michigan, in Beecher, and it wasn't easy because we were also we were Christians, like super Christian, and so I always had this comfort in my head that there was this God out there protecting me, and so it was easy to deal with day-to-day life until I kind of realized that I didn't know if he was out there. Like, we had the idea of this benevolent God that would always protect you. And if you just you mentioned the name Jesus Christ, then, whatever slings and arrows were being shot at you would kind of go away. And there were times in my life that I realized that didn't work. And one day I woke up to my mother screaming and come downstairs pissed off because I had to wear a pair of pants with holes in them that was most likely going to get me beat up again on the playground. And or at least make me feel dejected. Because we had those Tough Skins, remember them?
No, I don't.
They were jeans with like a built-in patch over the knee that made it so uncomfortable. But
I don't remember those,
forever.
But I was going to say, it sounds like they'll hold up forever.
Oh, it sucks so bad because you're like, they do last forever. But they're shitty from the start. So thanks, I'm glad this is going on. But I was worried about wearing some Tough Skins. I came down crying about it. And my mom was already screaming because my dad had drowned in the bathtub. He was an epileptic and woke up early to go get a job interview and ended up drowning. And it was pretty, that was a tragedy, of course, that I think it led me to have, it really formed a lot of me, obviously, right? So I'm 10 years old is when you're reaching out into the world. And that made me pretty reluctant to do that. And so I kind of observed everything very third person. So I'd watch my friends, but I'd be more off in the corner, just thinking to myself, or straight up watching. Like not understanding the way things went together sometimes, and a lot of cogs didn't fit, but it started me on a pursuit of curiosity that did end up with me. I already had talent as an artist, but I think it gave me depression that made me an artist of sorts. Like a depressive, not just, oh, wow, we're all going to die someday, but like a depression that is also like, these things don't fit together. Like everything's not homogenized. There's something really, really rough about life that I always wanted to explore, that gave me a depression that, because with my limited ability as an artist, my desire was to change the world and make it a better, or to help other people see the same things that I saw, communicate basically. But at the same time, it made me feel like there's just you can't. Like the problems are so big, your little pencil drawing, it does nothing. And that's where tattooing eventually took back over, because I had talent at a very young age and developed it lightly throughout that, because everybody knew Kyle could draw. So everybody would be making Kyle draw. But, or hey, Kyle, draw this. I honestly was like, my friends, I remember Heath, this friend in Beecher, he'd come over and he'd be like, dude, let's draw. He'd be all excited. And I'd be like, dude, we could play G.I. Joes. And they're like, you've got 7 G.I. Joes. I've got 1. But dude, you got 7, and you got that fucking Cobra tank. Remember that cool looking Cobra? Cobra had the best stuff. It almost made, if Cobra didn't have such a terrible voice, you would be like, I'd follow him. But at any rate.
So at a really young age, what took place was you had your illusion shattered. You had this idea that there was this benevolent force that was going to make sure that like you and your family got it through, regardless of what situation was presented to you. You lose, your father at a young age. I lost my mother at a young age, and then all of a sudden your illusions are shattered.
Yeah,
now
you lose your God at the same time.
100%. And now, like you said, you were strong Christians. So now you're reformulating your identity at probably the most fragile point of your life.
Kind of became a Satanist of some sort, pretty much, and then maybe agnostic, and ironically, if not, I'm more of a Christian now than I've probably ever been, or as much of one as I was before. I finally find the Bible more as a metaphor than as a literal interpretation, and it's so much easier to understand then. Like if Jesus says that we die by the sword, if we live by the sword, then you're like, well, I've seen a lot of people die that lived by the sword. They didn't die by the sword, or obviously it's a metaphor, right? And your spirit dies. And I liken that to a lot of things. Right now there's so much of a love of weapons and not so much of a love of this. Like I don't know why I don't feel maybe more scared. Maybe I should, just being out in the world without a gun. But I don't have one. I don't own one. I'm really not allowed to. But I don't think that I'm worried about it. If I finally come to a place where I'm like, yep, even if my family were to die. But they're not. Like the real chances of them dying in that imagined scenario is usually like brought on by some crazy media push or something. My cousin was telling me yesterday, he and I differ on the ideas of guns. Mostly in that I find the guns as an admission of weakness, and not that that's this bad thing. Like training here, in some very logical extent, is an admission of weakness, because you're training to be stronger. You're not there like, I'm so fucking tough that I'm just going to go teach these people. Well, maybe you are. I seen your ears, but you're really trying, and even we're all trying to get better, and so when I say it's weakness, he really took a hit because he felt so much pride and toughness in having a gun. But I don't see the same, especially if you've ever trained with any officers and you're like 12 feet away, I'm getting that gun, I'm turning it on you. 20 feet away, if it's in a holster, I'm still getting it, and like you know about this. And also, I began thinking about it myself in the fashion, like if I've got a gun, now I've got an obligation. And if I don't have a gun, I've got an obligation to get the women and children to a safe space. If I do have a gun, you have to draw fire for me.
And really, if you pull that out, it becomes life or death. I mean, just what might be just a heated argument, the second you pull a gun out, it is now a life or death situation.
I think it changes a lot of ways that people even interact with each other as a matter of their freedoms. Some people, I think it actually helps, because they can just go back and be like, whatever, I know I got my gun, I'm tough. And they don't have to get involved in this anger issue that maybe somebody's drawing them into. But I think there's also I think it's probably more, that it evades into your thinking that you do end up being more aggressive, you know what I mean, in your tone. Instead of being conciliatory and allowing somebody to have their opinion, you feel almost more forceful with it, like God would if he had a gun,
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think that could be. I mean, I think there could be someone with a gun that doesn't embody that type of thinking, that would try to de-escalate things and try to always be on the benevolent side. But then there's easily the other side of the coin where someone goes, you worst case scenario, I'll shoot this man. Which that should be, taking someone's life should be the absolute last thing on this earth that we should ever resort to. And a lot of times, I think people are. Yeah, and people are quick to, I've seen some horrific videos, in my lifetime. I'm sure you have too. Like the gentleman in the hallway, the police had the guns drawn on him, and he was like crawling on his knees, and then he went to fix his pants, and they lit him up. And did you see that video?
I didn't. There's a lot that I try not to watch.
There's so many that. It's disgusting how quick we are to remove someone's life. And you can hide behind, I didn't know what he was going to do. But we do need to find a way as people to get away from this. Like, it should be the worst case situation on earth where another human being, think about who you were on the worst day of your life, the way you treated someone, the way you spoke to someone, that you still don't deserve to lose your life, right?
Not generally.
100%.
Or maybe the opposite. Maybe we all deserve to die. But
now we're getting into some really crazy talk. But let's go back to one thing that you brought up. You said that there's signs of weakness and things like this. Do you believe in people, if we all have natural vulnerabilities, should we work to improve our vulnerabilities? Like, if I'm not as good of a speaker, I might read books and educate myself to improve a weakness that I have, to grow stronger. If I am not as good at defending myself in a physical altercation, I might seek out martial arts training. If I'm not as
scorpion fighting system.
Yeah, if I'm not as good of a tattoo artist, I might seek out mentors and people that I can learn from. And these are all processes of taking weakness and building them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you think these are good things? Because it sounded like you were almost saying, don't work on a vulnerability because then it might turn into an ego, like, I'm strong. I think it's more like on a case-by-case, person-by-person basis.
I would have to, the Buddha had this beautiful thought when they asked him about why, they don't have more of an outreach. Like Christians, like, that's your job. The Buddha was just like, well, I don't want everybody to be like me. That seems like it'd be a really boring place. And I kind of take, for me, I'm supposed to work on certain weaknesses. And for other people, I think that, they're probably supposed to work on some. I can't really sit back. Like, my biggest weakness probably is that I would think that I should know how everybody should. Like, that's my weakness, is I'm like, I know how this motherfucker should be acting. This person should turn right. This person should turn left. And then they surprise you, cut across 4 lanes. You're like, why did you go 95 to pass me just to get in the exit on the other side? That was crazy, brother. But you never can tell, and it at least gives you something to talk about. I guess you get if someone does something stupid on 23 in front of you, you got something to talk about at the podcast.
Yeah, and so there's another thing I want to address that you brought up that I thought was really good. You said, in a weird way, and I think a lot of artists can relate to this, the depression almost becomes a part of, like, you as a human being, as your consciousness is now permanently infected with depression, and I've experienced horrific parts of depression. I believe the man that I am today is actually more because of the bad times than the good times in my life. Talk about how that shaped you as such a young kid that had to go through those periods, question your life, question your reality, question this belief system that you had. All of your illusions were shattered. You find tattooing. Did you fall in love with tattooing right off the bat when you were already an artist, or did it grow over time?
I wasn't. I'd stopped being an artist in high school, especially for those when I really started to wake up from my father being passed, because I was like in a shell, in a sack. I may not have been wanting to reach out for fear of hurt, and my connections were kind of limited. My friends knew me as the guy who would rather be watching TV. I mean, I'd go watch Mama's Family, and I'd be like, I know we're having fun at the watering hole, and I like swimming and all, but Mama's Family's on at 4:30, so I got to make this quick. Like, that lame. But how did it... I'm sorry, I'm getting lost in the question.
No, it's just when, like, how did you pick up tattooing? Like, when did you?
It did become a passion. I'm sorry, I know where I'm going. Like, it did because everybody else offered it. Then, when I was always looking for my artistry to change the world with one painting, and then recognizing the huge, like, the impossibility of that feat, right? And then being depressed by that, and then being driven by the depression of also not having an outlet. All of that then stopped once I had tattoos, because tattoos, they came in and they're like, hey, I want you to do this. And you had direction. Now my talent could just go to provide money. And honestly, I I remember when I was young, I was planning on being homeless, I think. I really was like trying to figure out how to eat off a can of beans and just thinking, because I didn't like the rat race. It seemed so stupid. I was really smart. And I could have done good in school. In my last year, I fucked it off so bad. And I just didn't care. I didn't even want to get out because there was no college waiting for me. There was no, everything seemed like.
Do you think these were limited beliefs that you held, though, because of your environment and your situation?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're saying, hey, I was really smart and stuff, you could have done those things. You might have had a disdain for them because, like, that wasn't your childhood, that wasn't your family. You might have looked at those people as, like, these spoiled. But, like, you probably had the potential, it sounds like. So what do you think it was? Was it just limiting beliefs, or what kept you from being the man that goes, hey, I am smart. I've faced extreme depression as a child. I've gotten through things
Advocacy.
that would have crippled people.
Things like you probably provide for people here, actually, and it's so needed in the world that I don't do enough of, or maybe I do. I do help kids, but advocacy, just somebody to tell you you're right. Because unfortunately, my mother also didn't have a spine, and teachers can be assholes, and it's not always, But to my mother, any position of authority. Uh-oh.
No problem. Just plug it back in.
Oh, it's only my headphone, anyways.
Yeah.
Any position of authority to my mother was always right. Wow. So if a teacher, and they often did, and I had disagreements because I was a fucking dick, and they would say something dumb, and I would prove them wrong. And man, nothing makes a teacher madder than when you prove them wrong. Or when I'd studied humans in those 2 to 3, 4 years, so well. I really did know motivations. And that, by knowing humans' motivations, it didn't change if they were children that I was friends with to teachers. And so now I could kind of expose weaknesses of teachers, and they really didn't, especially the female ones. Female ones would never forgive that. And I'm not saying that I have a certain, I love female teachers, but some of the female teachers will hold a grudge much more than a male teacher. Like as a male teacher they realize a change that you've decided to make at some point, or that you treat them differently. Like they give you more second chances, it felt. And the females, they wanted to punish you,
And that's a bizarre thing if you really break it down and think about it, because I was a very rebellious kid too, I think because of my depression and because of things I went through. And I think it's because when you have your world shattered and you have all your illusions shattered, you look at everything and try to find out if it's an illusion. You look at that authority figure and say, are you God? Does the information that comes from your mouth divine?
Off of your work or that you put into your persona, like you combed your hair today, so and you wore your suit, and that give you this idea of power, and now you're wearing it around. But I see you eating ho-hos, you fat little Twinkie motherfucker.
So literally, when you have illusions shattered and you start questioning everything. First of all, authority does not like that. Authority, you're supposed to go to school, sit down, shut up, raise your hand. When we call on you, we'll ask you for your answer. We will tell you if you're right or wrong. There's no room for interpretation on your part, because really, let's break this down as just pure facts. The teacher could be wrong and the child could be right.
Yeah.
But the teacher doesn't want that, because that would have them to say, wow, you know what? You were right. Kyle, that's a great point. I never considered that.
That I'm a terrible human being because of the way I treat people. Yeah. It was usually, I was looking at such personal things, though, they couldn't have. It wasn't like we were disagreeing about these simple things. I was looking for it was out of an anger, too, especially for the authority that they represented. And then also with the knowledge that my mother was going to just take their side and I was going to be wrong. And it ended with comedy sometimes. Like a lot of times it ended with comedy. Like I wrote, I did Genesee Area Skill Center, and we had to write a resume. And it was a long, I wasn't supposed to be there. There was a lot of problems. But it was so nice the day that they called up to get me in trouble with my father. Now, my father had passed when I was 10, so this is 15 years later, or 10 years later. And they call up my house and they ask for Mr. Dunbar. And they say, okay, Mr. Dunbar. Well, now I know he's not talking to my dad. And my brother had just got released from prison and he was on tether. So I'm like, oh, my he thinks he's funny. Now I told my brother about the resume I'd written the day before. And he didn't. I was like, dude, I wish I could show it to you. I don't know if I'll ever see it again, because what I had written, they said we could write it about anything. I was in electrical engineering. So of course I was supposed to do that, but as a kid, I would much rather be a porn star. So, of course, I wrote a resume. Verbatim, no swearing, no references to, just innuendo to sex. And I told them where I crafted my my expertise and these kinds of things, in cornfields and stuff. Well, he's reading this to my brother who's trying to stifle a laugh. And it's not getting the reaction. So he's expecting him to stop him at any time. But then my brother's on the other end like, well, now, so does he swear? And he's like, well, no, he doesn't swear. He doesn't swear in here, no. But he, you can see that what he's like, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it appears that he wants to be in porn. I don't know if it's the right career for him. And then he starts making jokes about my dick, as a father would know. But I don't know. That was, and you see it relate too. Now, when I talk about my mother not having advocacy for me and finding no strength in there, now I immediately think of a story the one time I did have advocacy, and how well it went, and it was my brother.
And really, you mean, like I said, once you went through your depression and you're still here, you're still going forward, you realize that people are fallible, you realize that life is a lot of illusions, you realize that this whole thing is just like a wild, circus or stage event, and you know what I mean? You start just being yourself, and it is what it is, and you're not going to just have to follow these boxes that authority would want you to sit in. You're going to write I can write this about anything? I have the perfect topic, my friends. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you're just starting to be you, and actually I think being an artist, you probably are naturally a creative person. So you're the type of person that thinks outside of the box. Most people, not in a million years, would they consider doing that, because they're like, I need this authority figure to accept me that I can get to where I want to be.
Screw those authority. I'm sure they're going to matter in my life at some point, but I think that everybody I look up to has all said the same thing. It's kind of like, fuck them guys, If it from any political, from any acting, from any artistic standpoint, it's always, and generally everybody, if we respect somebody or watch them or follow them, it's because in some way they said, fuck those haters. And then we'll either support them in their endeavors to say fuck them haters, or we will then start to hate them. But either way, it's the same. I mean, look at like Jake Paul, who in my eyes is a fucking genius. Like, oh my God, of pure accident, but it couldn't be. It's so genius, it's not even an accident. I watched him, my son, is a 14-year-old now. So when Jake Paul was just starting his YouTube career, I saw some of his terrible, terrible YouTube videos of terrible raps and no real content, and my son liked it for a while, and then he started to really find out more about it. Jake Paul was kind of a douchebag, as I'm sure you would be if you were rich and youthful, and he's buying his dad a Lamborghini. Your dad's not going to tell you, hey, calm down on the parking tickets. Thanks for the Lamborghini, son. If you got that Lamborghini by illegally parking, which is one of the things that pissed me off probably the most. I've only seen a couple of his videos, but he's like, he just drove over the barricades. And that's a metaphor too, I guess. He drove over the barricades in his podcast. People watched him say fuck authority in that fashion. They loved it. I'm sure he got a ticket for it. And even if he did, though, it was so worth it. Because so many people hated him that eventually, after only 3 fights in his career, he can be commanding, and I know the money might be all imagined, but that first fight with Mike Tyson, I'm quite sure it did get 1.6 million sales, I don't know if the second one did. I bet it did, though, because just as many people wanted to see Jake Paul get his ass beat as they did see Mike Tyson win another fight against a lower-ranked, smaller person. That was charity. I mean, that was similar, and Mike said it the same. Roy Jones Jr. ain't done as good as him. I mean, he's doing fine, I guess, but he ain't, and so help this person out. Mike was all about the charity of helping people out by beating their ass.
When you relate your feelings to, you have a very strong disdain for authority, do you know where that comes from initially? Was it just the teachers in the school and the people that made you feel like you knew you were bigger than what they were making you feel? Or where does that come from? Because
I think I respected I respected authority really good for a long time. And after my dad passing, it was like, well, what's it get you? Was it so worth it? I don't think that it was. I respected authority because I thought it was all in a almost linear or top to bottom manner. God being at the top, and then the elected officials or the people that have made these rules, and then general golden rule, like treat others as you would be treated, and down the line, and there was this hierarchy that made sense, and
it should. And you're like, man, injustice is real, and people are all equal, and we treat each other though. And then those illusions get shattered and you realize these are just people and there's good and bad people, right? But like, do you think that it's stereotypical to some degree to say that like authority figures in general are bad? Because like, what if it's a really good person?
No, that's not, very stereotypical, bigoted, and thereby ignorant. I think bigoted and ignorant kind of go hand in hand with synonyms, basically. When I think of bigoted, I don't think of just racial. I just think of limited thought, where you really limit your thought and you base it off of a understanding of somebody, as I say, policing or something like that. So I base it off of a Derek Chauvin as all police would certainly be. But I don't say, I think that policing is lost a lot of it because we force them into a position that they can't be seem respectable. They have to. The proof to me is that fucking flag that flies. I drive out here and I see it, and I don't know why we have two flags on the fucking flagpole. I have no idea why the American Legion told us not to a long time ago. You don't change the American flag, but some of the most patriotic people I know, or they believe to be, themselves to be, they put up a flag and then underneath it they put another one. And I don't.
Which flag are you referring to? The Confederate flag or the?
No, it's the one with the thin blue line right down the middle. They take the United States flag, the United, and they divide it down the middle, representing only one group of them. Now, the United States flag is the single most ubiquitous symbol of, so Donald Trump has that flag, Hillary Clinton has that flag. I have that flag, you have that flag. Everybody that falls in my spectrum of love to hate, it has that flag, in America at least, has that flag. And that can at least be the thing that they imagined in 32, 34, when the American Legion started to write the flag code. They imagined that it would be that it would be the thing that would
symbol
help
of
keep
hope,
them together.
A symbol of unity, a symbol of freedom.
Unity.
You know what I mean?
Even when we take the Pledge of Allegiance, it's about that unity. But meanwhile, if we have that flag, we really need to change the Pledge of Allegiance. It needs to be, I pledge allegiance to the flags. And then when I really, I think I know where it came from. Because that flag, there is a thin blue line flag that is 2 bars of black with a thin blue line down the middle. It's actually kind of thick. But that's the flag for the police, and always has been. And then they bastardized the patriotic symbol, and they've represented only a small faction, the enforcement branch of it for them. Now, it brings me to anger, but generally because of my lack of understanding of it. When I really apply my an amount of understanding, and I try and put myself in that perspective, I have to understand that they went through a lot when Colin Kaepernick started taking a knee. And society and media and everybody making it a political issue gave them little room for gray area. Police are already people that have a hard time thinking in gray areas. And it's hard to. If you're making decisive decisions about someone's future, you kind of have to be able to make split decisions, and it has to be based off of yes or no, black or white, positive or negative kind of thoughts. So this is what they get trained to. And unfortunately, nobody is telling them about the egregiousness of this flag that I see as we never went under the ocean in a submarine until Jules Verne wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And the thought exists always before the thing. And in this case, I feel like the art, the iconery that is being changed is detrimental because it literally does have a change of our understanding of the flag, so it has a change of the understanding of the country. Now it also has a separation in the middle of the flag. It also only represents one group. These are all signs from, say, feudal Japan, when shoguns were the power of the emperor, and they had their own sigils too. And it was easier for them to kill civilians or to work against civilians because they weren't the same as. And so when I watch these two art symbols having to compete, I want to do a little joke. I wish I wasn't, maybe when I get fully vaccinated. I got the one shot now, but I can go out to people, and I want to go to gun shows and stuff and ask some of the people that are patriotic if they would support my petition to change the American flag. I'm sure I would get a lot of no's. But then I would like to have a list of the flags that I might like it to be changed to. And certainly one of them is going to be the police flag. The other one is going to be the far more dangerous firefighters flag. And I say dangerous because that appeals. Many people believe that the police is a tough job. I have worked harder and far more dangerous jobs in my life. Policing is the 22nd most dangerous job in the country. Laboring for a construction crew is higher. Roofing is higher. Electrical is higher. Tree trimming is higher. All these jobs are far more dangerous than policing. Not that policing isn't important. I just mean to say we have these thoughts that oftentimes lead us in I think, bad directions.
So do you think it's because it's so close to the actual American flag that it's so bothersome? Like, let's say there was no relation. Yeah. It was just a police flag. It was a symbolism for this group, but it didn't look like the American flag. Yeah. Then it wouldn't bother you nearly.
Well, when it looked like the American flag, first off, it does defy the flag code that the police are supposed to enforce. The irony of that alone is enough to send me on my heels. But the bigger divisions that I've seen sprout up since that flag has been there, and it wasn't caused by, but I believe it does bolster it, because art is where we go. Art is the thought, and so that to me became an art, and now it's set a direction and a course.
I mean, it's the representation of an ideology. So if you're creating it and you're making it real, it is real now. And I'm sure that people that would fly that flag probably, when they see the flag, the symbolism to them just means like the pride in their husband that's an officer, or the grandfather that works for or the good police that they know.
And sometimes just as the conservative Republican that they are. In many cases, as we've seen people that eventually ended up beating police officers with that same flag, talking about how they defended them. You know, like, we defended. You're like, well, continue, please. Don't beat me with the flag. But when I drive past them and you see them on the flagpole, and then you'll oftentimes see their political standing along with it. So you still see a Trump 2020 in the front yard. And you're like, put a paint of 4 on it, please, just so I don't laugh at you as much. Like, if I had a fucking, I'm trying, anybody that loses and you leave it up, you're like,
so you're saying almost like,
you mad? Like, calm down. That it becomes a political issue, and then we pick our political side, and then certain iconery is allowed in that political side. So it's almost, I believe, that flag isn't so much showing support. It is showing support, but it's showing support also for conservative groups. You know what I mean? That I'm not so liberal, but I'm definitely not so like I'm very conservative, actually. I just don't think conservatism is being represented by the conservatives anymore. I feel like it's pretty well been lost, and we're in a spot now where anger is driving people now, like anger against the Democrats, and I get it, because they're always saying no, right? Or we can imagine they are. I just had a friend of mine tell me that the Democrats got rid of Dr. Seuss, and I was like, well, that was a business. It wasn't. There's zero Democrats. It was a business decision by a business leader, just like a gay cake maker, or a cake maker decided not to make a cake. 100% that person's decision. Well, I don't like that decision, but I do like this decision. You're being controlled. They're using your anger, and they do the same on both sides. So I get lost in it, because if you begin to destroy somebody's heroes on one side, of course they get mad, but also they imagine that your heroes are their enemies, you know, and you're like,
absolutely, and then people demonized something that is anything different than them becomes demonized, and then all of a sudden we start slipping further and further from truth, and further from reality, and further from the fact that, like, we're all human beings first, and all the labels that you would like to apply after are just that. They're just labels. Like, you are not your beliefs. Like, that's a hard thing for people to grasp. Your information should be able to change if presented new information that is valid.
You would like to think it should, right?
But most people don't, right? Like, once
Galileo died in prison because of it. He was right, but he was wrong.
And that's whereas, like, I feel like we're more connected than ever. We need to take a step back from things and say, wait a second, we are people first. And in light of new information, we should be able to change our beliefs, right? Like, but
it
people
all happens when the gay aliens come and start trying to probe our buttholes, because then we'll all have something to fight against.
See, now there's an outside enemy that we can openly identify.
I mean, honestly, that would probably be one of the best things. Remember how America felt the day after the terrorist attacks? And even the couple of weeks and months after, and fucking, you didn't hate nobody. You know what I mean? We were all kind of going through the same thing, and suffering was shared. That's a Buddhist philosophy there, actually. Suffering, when the realization of shared suffering is more prevalent, you become happier, you worry less about your own suffering. But we as much as we are connected, we're also more introverted, right? So our connectivity is oftentimes through a filter of a screen, you know, even as we're being listened to now on the same, or and it's a beautiful, great tool, and at the same time, it's going to be, as all tools are, used for some destructive means too.
100%. So let's talk a little bit about your life's journey. So we haven't even got to Ink Master yet.
Yeah.
So you're a tattoo artist. And where are you tattooing at the time? Did you stay in that location? How do you get picked up for a show like Ink Master?
I started tattooing first because I sold drugs, I guess is what it were. It was the first time I saw drugs became this awesome thing because of politics again, because they were like, they told us we couldn't smoke weed, it was bad for you, and then I smoked it, and thanks to hard work from dedicated professionals like myself, the rest of you can now enjoy your marijuanas because of the time I served, I found myself selling weed, and then the slippery slope of selling cocaine, selling weapons, and selling stolen, becoming a fence, all occurred around the same times, because if you were doing this illegal thing, what's this illegal thing? It's making money. And they already said that this was bad, but it wasn't bad. I had to find out the hard way. Cocaine's kind of got its bad pitfalls. When I get to heaven, nothing but coke, trust me, because God coke, fucking awesome. I even love coke now. Like, if we talk about guns, I talk about guns as my cocaine argument. I try to get people to understand, it's like, I get it, not everybody should have guns. I do believe that. But it's weird for me, because it is weird for people like my cousin who believes that guns everybody should be able to have them. I'm like, here's the thing. I think everybody should have cocaine. Like, I can do it. There's a lot of people that fuck up with it. You know what I mean? And they cause me to not be able to do it legally, unfortunately. But anyways, I started to get deeper into the cocaine, or into selling drugs. I shouldn't say cocaine. But selling drugs as a means to make money, and I was actually getting ahead, and then I got the rug pulled out, and thankfully some cops came in and arrested me. And
you just said thankfully, so it helped save your life to some degree.
So yeah, I mean, because to imagine that to listen to me talk, oftentimes you're going to think you're this guy, and I think I'm pretty much somewhere in the middle, because they did save my life. I mean, they were dicks. They were fucking dicks. Good Lord, and they tried to railroad me in such a fashion, even after they were like, "Hey, do this for us. We can help you do that." They still tried in court, and luckily, Sean Marks, who is in Flint and is an attorney and is an awesome attorney. He works with police officers every day, and they do not scare him. He works with prosecutors. I'm going over his old commercial, but certainly if I can give Sean Marks a bump, that guy saved my life, because I was looking at probably at least 3 to 5. And not for huge things, right? For relatively small. I mean, I was selling, but I didn't get caught on the coke. It was small amounts of coke that I was selling. I was getting ripped off more than I was figuring out the lower rungs of a really shitty business. And then the time in jail helped me see that it didn't have a good retirement package. So changed venues, and that's the first time I saw tattoos, because I was selling drugs to tattoo artists. So I would go in there, and I would see these people that were so like me making money off of something that I knew I had a talent in, or an ability for. So then I decided I would never sell drugs again. Even if somebody was like, dude, sell me a joint, and I was smoking one, I'd just be like, no, here's one. I'd rather do that. It's the principle at this point. And all that passion would be put into tattooing. And then tattooing became a real big passion, because they did bring it for me. I could change the world. We would have conversations that would last 3 to 4 hours, sometimes longer. And during those times, I'm talking to one person, and I'm able to make a difference, give them an understanding possibly from a different perspective. Not everybody grew up in Beecher, So I felt like I was changing the world. I felt good. And it just led me on a path that I eventually met my wife, and I had advocacy, that was real. If you have a mate that doesn't support your decisions, after obviously they need to be vetted. But once you guys make a decision, your mate don't follow through. Get a new one, because that one sucks. And my wife gave me advocacy for probably one of the first times, and it resulted in my passion exploding. We got to start a tattoo studio, became one of the best in the area, and then right around 2008, the market started to turn. I don't think it was till 2010 though that I started trying out for the show. Friends of mine got on it. Some friends of mine were on the first one, and then I watched the second one. I decided to try out for it. My wife decided for me, and we drove to Austin, Texas. But now then I was doing traveling tattooing too already, because if you're in that small fishbowl, you're only going to get as big as that fishbowl. You might be the biggest fish in your fishbowl, and you might be pretty proud of it, but you're really not going to know who you are until you get in the ocean. So I forced myself into the ocean. Same with like black belt tournaments. Like if you ever meet a black belt that didn't get it tested, though, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, you're one of them black belts. You do real good kata. That's awesome. Looks good. But they never been punched in the face.
100%. It's a completely different experience actually having to apply your skills and get into a large sphere of influence versus just like you and your friends or a small group or a small neighborhood. Like, yeah, I fought in Brazil multiple times. I fought in events where people came from all over the nation. I did world championship trials. Like, that's where it's legit. That's where you find out exactly where you're at.
And then you can reevaluate and even become better, right? Like you didn't, or you just go away with your black eye and say, this isn't the shit for me, and start flipping burgers somewhere. But that was where I was at in tattoo. We started leaving Flint, Michigan, so that we could get bigger, and we met a lot of friends on the road. The road became a part of our lives, right? So traveling became a part of our lives. So we were going to these tattoo conventions where you get a hotel or a convention, and 60 to 600 artists, depending on the size of the convention, show up, and that many people come, hopefully, to get tattoos as well. And we were doing these conventions, and we had one in Massachusetts where we had made some friends, and that was right by New York. So during that time, we tried out at the New York show. I ran into some of my friends there. Steve Teft, who actually won. We'd become friends probably just a year to 2 years before that because we were both drinking, because like alcohol is kind of awesome sometimes, right? And so me and Steve Teft hit it off, and several people that I saw there that day, but he actually had a shitty portfolio too. I remember I was looking through his portfolio that he brought with him to the casting, and I was like, man, you do better work than this. You brought your B game, man. I'm definitely getting a spot. You're not. He ended up going on to win. I didn't get on the show. I drove back from Austin, Texas to Michigan, picked up a few more things, drove from New York. Have I been saying Austin, Texas the whole time?
Yeah.
My bad.
It's all right. No problem.
It was because I drove from, because Massachusetts, New York, we were right there. We went to New York to try out, and then we didn't get it. They did one of them, don't call us, we'll call you. And then I drove all the way down to Austin, Texas, 3,000 miles later, just to have them say the same fucking thing. They were like, you're boring as fuck. They didn't say it. Don't call us, we'll call you. It'd take them 20 minutes to figure it out. The next year, my life had turned upside down. We were in a foreclosure. The shop was not doing good because we were in that downturn, and we were really, tattooing is a pretty luxury item. So it's one of the first to go, and it was rough at the time. All my artists started to jump ship. So they were going to other places, greener pastures. They imagined, we're still in the same, eating on the same trough, but it was rough. So my wife says, we're going to get you to try out for this Ink Master again. And I was like, fuck that shit. And she was like, no, it's in Chicago this time. We like Chicago. And I do. I always liked Chicago. Honestly, it's one of my favorite places now, weirdly enough. I just have really, really good luck in Chicago. Like if I'm going to bet, I want to place it in Chicago. You know what I mean? Like it's my first UFC fight I ever got ringside. And you've been close. It's like if you guys go to a fight, and then you go ringside to a fight, it's so much. I don't even want to sit.
Oh, yeah, I cornered the fighters. I walk in the cage in the middle of it. I've cornered the main event on Fox Sports.
Can you imagine what it would be like now to be in the balcony? Would that suck for you?
Absolutely. Once you get that front row experience, man, once you fly first class, you're like, well, do I really want to sit in the back? 100%. Those experiences change you.
Chicago's always been I love it. Anyway, so then that was one of the places we went to Chicago, and when I tried out there, and I'll tell anybody, if you ever want to get on a reality show, this little bit might help how you get in, like talk a lot. There's a guy that lives inside your mind, and he's always telling you, don't say that, or do say this, or right, fire him. He ain't got no place there. Even if you're worried about contradicting yourself, that's actually sometimes the best stuff for an editor. They love you more because if you contradict yourself, they have choices. They can make you look straight. They can make you contradict yourself. They can make you look like the good guy or the bad guy, So they love it. When I went there to Chicago, I didn't prepare anything. Unlike before, I came in with a glossy of my face and portfolio. I brought my portfolio, and I didn't fill out the paperwork quite purposely. And when I went in there, I was like, I didn't really fill it out all that much. Where it says sex, I say yes. Yes, please. And first thing, actually, I should say, when I walked in the room, there's at least 7 interviews going on. When I walk in the room, I make eye contact where I'm supposed to go, and I make a verbal noise. I don't even know what it was, but it was something like whoop whoop or like, hey, what's up? Or, whatever it was going to be. I want all attention on me right now. Definitely her attention, but I want her to see that these people are being forced to have my attention too. They didn't, but whatever, they didn't care. I turned the chair then 45 back around like fucking Fonzie style, and instead of facing it at her, I turned it on a 45, and I did that on purpose too. And then I looked at the door because I wanted her to understand I was more important than anything in that room, and I was pretty excited to get the fuck out of it. Her attention didn't matter to me. Something good was waiting beyond that door. She didn't know what, but she wanted to follow along. And that's what these people, from the first time I went, they got children interviewing you, asking you things like, well, why should you be, what do you have that makes you feel like you have the right to be an ink master? And you felt like saying, bitch, what the fuck gives you the right to ask me? You don't have one tattoo? Are you even out of high school? Like, where do you even get off judging me? But instead, that guy behind the desk is like, don't say that now. You got to impress her. Now, if I had said that shit, I would have impressed him. I didn't, and I thought about it in hindsight. They take kids because they have no attention span. They want kids to do their casting because if they get bored easily, then they know this guy's boring. Boom. But if you keep them, so I kept her excited. I made things more important, and it took her less than a minute. 20 minutes, 2 times before, 3,000 miles apart to tell me, no, we'll call it, or don't call us, we'll call you. And she wrote down a piece of paper, I'm just going to write this down now. This is a time I'd like you to come back. Don't show this to anybody else. But if you could come back around 4:30 tomorrow. I'm like, man, I didn't get a hotel. We were just coming for the, all right, we can make an audible. And then we did. I get back on and we go into the video interview, and I already kind of got a taste of how they wanted it, So I just started to run it. I was like, remember, I've been, at 10 years old, I've seen stars of the room. I watched them from the corner. I knew kind of the things they did. Oftentimes they would bother me. And I would think, well, that guy's just doing that for attention. But it worked. So that's why I pulled that bag of tricks out. I Jerry Lee Lewis the stool that they wanted me to sit on. Like, try and sit still because the camera, we don't have a cameraman, so it's just right there. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to do that shit, am I? And so they go to ask me a question. What's it like at your shop? Are you guys friends? Are you family? Do you sometimes fight? And now I'm going through a hard time at the shop. I'm going through a foreclosure, much because I just lost all my sources of revenue. They took their turn after I taught these motherfuckers how to tattoo. Stabbed me in the back and leave them to my competitors, my close competitors. So instead of being an asset in my bank account, now they're actually actively working against me. In my thought then, at least. So I got a little bit pissed. I said, oh yeah, my shop where I taught all those motherfuckers how to hold a fucking tattoo machine, just to have them all learn to stab me in the back. No, sometimes we fight. Yeah, that's what you say. And they're like, are you kidding? Are you serious? And they were eating it up. It was like fucking a well-made meal to them. You could just see them spoonful it. So I Jerry Lee Lewis, that Great Balls of Fire stool behind me, like with one leg. And I said, no, those motherfuckers. And I just kind of fed it. And they're like, oh, and they loved it, and they grabbed my seat, and they sat me back down. They're like, well, okay, we can't, because the movie doesn't move. We don't have a camera guy, but go ahead and keep it down. I'm like, all right, one. I already know I did, right? So then I just fired off some more of that kind of stuff, made fun of their judges. What do you think of the judges? Oh, those idiots? That kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, well, that's who we want. Next thing I know, I find myself on the show. And
that's awesome. Now let's talk about that experience, man. So you get on Ink Master. You'd watched it before. You had grown up tattooing. You're a kid that came from Flint, Michigan. Started at the bottom. A lot of people like to claim they started at the bottom.
Now we here.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people like to claim that, but you really did. And you
never
built
heard that song until I was on that season with Made Rich, and he kept singing it because of his own journey. Where he came from.
Drake didn't know it was actually about you. You were going, that's
about
right.
Tattooing, yeah.
So
sure. He's Canadian too. I'm Canadian.
You basically unlocked the code. You saw what they were trying to create. They're trying to sell a story, right? They want to sell.
They weren't interested in my ability. They just wanted to see that I had some ability in the. So like the portfolio meant so little. I figured that out the first time. The second time I go back and I'm like, okay, yeah, portfolio sucks. They want to see me, because I knew great artists too. They would be in line. Because, I'm worshiping these guys when I'm coming up, and you would know them by name or face or whatever, and you'd be like, oh my God, there's a Tim, what was the fucker name? But he didn't get on. One of his underlings got on. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, I get it, because Tim's very quiet, very reserved. It's not.
So yeah, you cracked the code, man, and you started to see, I see what we're doing here.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
we're
going to play this
entertaining
game. We're on TV, people. This isn't real life. This is television. So then
At a time in my life, I needed it too, because like this foreclosure was looming big, you know, and I needed to fucking myself. I do escapism. I'm not good at being in the moment sometimes, you know. Oftentimes my brain's somewhere else. And that was perfect time because my wife's like, I'll take care of the house and everything else. We'll try and keep the shop going. You don't worry about it. Just go save the ranch, Kyle, you know. Save the Brady house. It's
So you packed the bags, you went off into the sunset to save everything that you're building, to be the man for your family. You get on television. What is it like during that experience? And then how did your life change after? Because you went from, you know, like, your girl was advocating for you initially, and it's amazing to hear. She was going like, no, you're going to get on this show. And you're like, forget those people. I don't need their approval. And she was like, we're going to do this. And then you did it, man. And that's an amazing thing. So now you get on the show.
It makes her even harder to deal with, man, because now, like, every choice I make, she's like, come on now, you know I'm right. I'm like,
now you have to put up with her. You're locked in, brother.
Yeah.
So, but like, talk about what it was like being on the show, and then more importantly, how did your life change after the show?
The show was interesting. There were so many times and so many instances of just mechanisms that you don't think about, right? When you watch a show, now I watch a reality show, and I really do. I watch a lot of reality shows. I shouldn't, but I shouldn't say I watch a lot, but for some 30 years now, I think I've been watching The Challenge. You know, my wife's always watching a teen mom or something, and I didn't realize how much I knew about these teen moms until I'm like, oh, there's little Leah all grown up, huh? She's like 9 now. And I go, wait, how do I know little Leah? Fucking hey, Kyle. But you see a whole different world. Now I can, and I don't know that I'm right every time, but you can see when a producer is leading the person in their soliloquy or whatever, when it's just that one person in front of the camera, and the guy says some words back. If it's a competition like the Ink Master, I can kind of sniff out like he didn't say it like that. He said it in a longer version, and then the producer said, okay, so what I think you're saying is, and they said it the way they wanted to say it, can you say something like that? And then that person just, and you could tell because their emotion is gone. Like they'll say it, and then their emotion, or if they're really good, you can tell because they are manufacturing emotion. And you're like, oh, this guy's a pro. That's what the challenge people do. They can... Because, like, all those moments, when you look at their shirts and stuff, he's acting like it just happened. Like, his partner can't eat the cow's dick or whatever it is on the challenge. He's acting like that's now. But the shirt was the same as when he was acting like prior. So, obviously, that's the edit. But he's talking like it's now, so he's a pro. He already knows that that's what they want. Challenge has been doing it for years. That's one of the things, it was disconcerting to deal with that. And at the same time, it was a beautiful mechanism. Also watching all the producers run around, the wranglers and stuff, and just the way the verbiage would go. You would think that it gives you a different opinion of stars. So like Dave Navarro, I don't know, or anybody that you might like look up to, you imagine that because they're this star that they are, that their day is just waking up with fucking violins and, you know, the whole Coming to America scene with fucking Eddie Murphy coming, the royal penis is cleaned, you know? You really imagine it's like that, and I'm sure it is at times. But then there's the times they're waiting in line, or the times that I've seen when they're just waiting for the cameras to start up, you know? And you begin to see it's human.
So you almost get to see life through a different lens. You got to step behind and see life and go, wow, a lot of this stuff is just presentation. Like we had
see it behind the lens almost, and then see it through the lens.
Yep, through the lens of the viewer, through the lens of the producer, through the lens like, ooh, you know what? I'm just going to third party like you were as a child. I'm going to observe this
like
tape.
That, there was a lot of that because producers would come up to me like, when are you going to talk, Kyle? I'm like, it's really loud in here. Look, when you got to say something. If you feel a certain way, say something, or else like, why? What do you know? I'm not here tomorrow. Like I'm looking forward to just the silence of the metal of a cereal spoon clinking against the side of a thing in the morning when everybody's just too angry with the few of us that are left. You know, that's when I'll talk. And they're like, no, what if you don't have the time?
It's wild because we had two people from here. Josh Parisian got on The Ultimate Fighter and Amanda Bobby Cooper, and they both like when they came back, it was shot. They were filmed like 24 hours a day. They had microphones even in the bathrooms. They had to go and live in a house for 6 weeks. No social media, no phone. You can't contact your family. You are isolated because they want to manufacture emotion. They want to create stories. They want to sell these stories to the public. They want to create tension amongst people.
Exterior stories don't like. So I found out about my wife was in Massachusetts, so she kept traveling, keeping the shop afloat while I'm in Ink Master enjoying myself. So she was in Massachusetts again. That's one of our favorite spots to go. We got some friends out there, Joe Peterson, during the Boston bomber. And she was on her way out that day for a vacation. So she was in Boylston, Massachusetts, and I knew that she was heading to the Cape. And I didn't know the geography, but I didn't also know that anything had happened. I'm taking a piss, or excuse me, two cameramen are taking a piss. And I walk in while tattooing, and I'm just a freak about washing my hands, man. So like I was one of the few that I was washing my hands. And so I walk in between a tattoo break, and I wash my hands up so I don't use the pisser. They might have recognized more. But so they're talking, and he's like, yeah, I guess there's bodies everywhere, and there's shrapnel and debris everywhere, and I'm overhearing this, and I just start to turn my head, and the one guy pissing there, he goes, and nods over at me, like that kid. And then they both shut up. And the one guy says, oh, yeah, thank you. And now they're all signing these NDAs. We're not even supposed to, they're not supposed to talk to you. A cameraman can get fired if he just says, hey, man, I need you to move over here or some shit, right? So they just recognize it. And I'm like, well, wait, what the fuck? Then little Ollie comes in, I'm like, Ollie, what the fuck's going on, man? They're shutting down the East Coast or something over here? And he's like, yeah, they just do that anytime there's some kind of bombing or attack. And I'm like, yeah, what? Right? So then he's like, yeah, you didn't hear about Boston? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear about Boston. Well, some guy blew up the marathon out there. I'm like, right on. And then it's slow, like this weird numb feeling, the same feeling, you know the feeling of like broken bone almost, or family that you're just like, and you don't even, you're right, you're just stuck in there. And this like fog was in my head, and until it started slowing down on me, it's like, your wife's near there, your son's near there. You need to figure out to talk to somebody. And then I asked the producer, hey, what's up on talking to my wife to make sure she's not blown up? And she's like, who told you? And I'm thinking, wrong fucking answer. Right? I'm like, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, and I don't care at the same time. Wait a second. Now you're really pissing me off. Actually, you know what? Let's get a phone here. Let's get a phone here now. She's like, why? What do you mean? Because my wife's in Boston. You're going to get me a fucking phone. You're going to do it fucking now. And they're like, oh, okay, all right. And now all this starts to happen that they do. They tried to reprimand people for me finding out. But, God bless him. That's what
just because you are in reality television, you're a man with a wife in the real world who may or may not have been injured in a bombing that took place in the state that she's in. Should that not come first?
That's why, and even as they were like, who told you? I'm still want to be in this fog, kind of like, oh yeah, because you're the authority. They put me in this weird kind of like lead the dog around thing until eventually at that moment when she's like, who told you? And I let that, and I started to kind of be like, oh, I don't want to narc on people too, but at the same time, and then it blew up in a fire. And then I'm just like, oh no, you know what? Fucking wrong answer. Get me somebody now. And they did. They got me somebody. And, I was able to make my call. My wife was obviously fine. She saw the furthest east point of America. She went out on the Cape and it was like, it's boring. It's really boring. But, there it was.
So let's talk about life. You get on the show. Mm-hmm. You're a television figure, at least in your demographic, especially. People are going to know you now. You know what I mean?
They set up my story to like me. Like, you notice, several things about my character that they wanted already to proceed ahead. I did do good tattoos. I was not scared to get in somebody's face. And so they wanted that. They wanted to have me along for that ride. And they really pushed to keep me there, I think. That's almost some unfairness that's involved. Like, they're going to keep the interesting ones. When I saw this kid named Craig go home one time, and he was one of the best artists that was there, and I saw him go home, and I was really taken aback by that. I was like, well, that don't make sense, because he was better than me, and he already won twice, and he lost twice, but, he won twice. That's kind of a wash. The other guy lost 4 times now, or at least was down in the pot. All of that, and then you're like, oh, yeah, well, he's quiet. And you start to put it together. So when the second season came back around, several things happened. I really broke my brain. Like, they broke my brain. My brain was broke. I broke it. Something happened. It wasn't the same as it should be. And it was ready for fighting. It was just like, I'm done putting up with any of your shit. And so they kind of sensed it, and they poured it on. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, Kyle's having a hard time. Let's go after him.
And there's a flame here. Let's dump some gasoline on it. This seems like the play.
Live wire. Can't tell you how many times they would tell me. Like, my name through the casting too was because they give you like a present it to the suit's name. So like they come in, the suits aren't going to remember everybody's name, and it doesn't help them remember who you are. So they just want to know who you are. So there's American Hothead. There's thinks he's all that. There's all the girls want to be him or want to date him, and then there is me, who doesn't play well with others. And so like they, you know what I mean, they knew that they had that soup they were making. I was definitely an ingredient. I think they wanted to keep it long, and I was fair with it. But on the second time back, I just wasn't ready to handle it. They became authority figures, and then they tried to really push it. One of them, Nunez, the thing is, they got a microphone in their ear. And me and him ended up getting it. I don't know if you saw like my last episode on there, but I tried to fight the little fucker. But you can't fight somebody you're bigger than for more than one reason. Number one, I'm not that great of a fighter. I've been beaten by littler guys before. They run up to the little guy and they're like, oh my God, you're such a giant killer. We love you. If you do beat up the little guy, they run to the little guy and they're like, oh, did the big man hurt you? And so like, and Nunez is this tiny, he's like a T-Rex too. I can't even imagine him in an MMA fight because it'd be hilarious. The guy, his biggest challenge in life, I think, is like nickels in his pocket trying to get change for the bus. He's just down in there like a T-Rex. Like, I think he's so angry because he can't jerk off, you know? Like he can't, something just made him, he's like, he's stuck in here. But he was also their modus. Like he was the one they had the most leverage on. Ali has already made a career. Nunez was a cokehead who lost his Miami Ink funds by trying to become a nightclub owner. Cocaine and nightclub owning don't always go together good. They do it for 2 to 3 years usually, and then they end badly. And he was living on somebody's couch when they called him up. This is what he tells me later. He's like, I was living on somebody's couch when they called me up. So who do you think they're going to get to be the bad guy? The guy who has 3 shops in Deep Ellum, Texas, and travels all over the country, is known anywhere, or the guitarist? No, probably not him either. Me, I'm the dick, so I'm that dick. But they were in his ear and they were like saying, hey, say this about Kyle, say this about Kyle. And that's why I called him a bitch at the end too. At one, I knew it would get him, you know, because he's probably been institutionalized before, and bitch has a different connotation when you're institutionalized, especially when one man says it to you, you know. And so I called him a bitch, though, because my opinion of somebody is a bitch is somebody who doesn't have their own words to back them up. They don't have their own strength of whatever it is to support them. They're supported by a bunch of other bitch-ass shit, right? And that was him. He had somebody else's words in his mouth. So he told somebody, tell Kyle he could justifiably go home. And then they were like, oh, wait a second, we got to change a battery brick on the back of the camera. So wait. Okay, we got to change. Say it again. And that's when the dude came up. He's like, yeah, they really wanted you to know, Kyle. They said it before on camera, and it ran out one of the 3 cameras. So they caught it. They caught the audio. They caught everything. But they had to reshoot the whole thing again, Kyle, just so that they could let you know that he said you could have justifiably gone home. Now, he just said that to get angry, because then the producer's like, how do you feel about that, Kyle? And they like zoom in. I'm like, how do I feel? I described it that it can never be used. I look straight at the camera, and you're not supposed to look straight at the camera. And I think I did it. Thankfully, I looked straight at the camera. I would hate him to use it. I described skull fucking him with such a clarity that it was like happening. I was playing with his eyeball when the suction of the force was going in and out like it was a nipple. I was like, I'm gonna pluck his eyeball with my fingers. I haven't felt anything warm and wet in 7 weeks, so I'm not gonna say it's not gonna give me a chubby. And so they couldn't use it, but they were like, Kyle, what do you want to do? Do you are you feeling all right? I'm like, no, I'm pretty crazy still. You saw me a minute ago? Yeah, that's the way now it hasn't changed. Can I go to the gym? No, can't go to the gym. Can I go jogging? No, can't go jogging. There's a guy named Kyle Turbos. Kyle, fuck you. Not really. I love Kyle Turbos, but he was always fucking with me about he'd break my arm. He's like, I'll break your arm, motherfucker, because he's a BJJ guy. And so, and he knew I did Hapkido, and we had some kind of, and he liked MMA, so I did too. So we had shit to talk about. And he'd always be, telling me, I'll break your arm. And he could, I'm sure he could. He's a tough little fucker. But I was like, dude, well, let's roll. You can control yourself. I mean, we're not both a bunch of novices here. We're going to move the coffee table. Big old living room. We got enough room. Let's just not hurt each other, but let me get this out. Because they're asking me, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I'm going to kill people. And they're like, okay. And I don't know, are they trying to bottle it up? They didn't let me do anything. Next day, we go back out there. I think somebody did ask me, like, how are you feeling today? Kind of last night was kind of, and I don't know how they didn't see it. I was like, heh. I don't know, how do I feel? You guys done nothing to change it. What are you expecting? This is what you want, right? This is 100% what you want. And then they bring me and Nunez, everybody comes out, and I'm just eye-fucking them, I'm just like, and he nudges into little Ali, and he's like, look at Kyle's pissed. And then he sees me still do it, like that didn't change. Like he wanted to me see that he was acknowledging that I was pissed, like that would change my eyesight, or at least give him a respite. And I'm like, nah, that didn't do it. That might have made it worse. And then he's like, ooh, Kyle's really pissed. Actually, you know what, guys? We're about ready. Okay, but before we start the cameras, we got to talk about something, because Kyle, what's going on, bro? What's going on? Oh, now you don't even know? And I felt like every girl that I've ever argued with when she's like, the fact that you don't even know makes it worse. I'm like, oh, shit. And I felt like that, so I'm like, well, fuck this motherfucker. I'm nothing to this motherfucker, huh? He just plays with me as he wants, throws me away. So I was like, well, you know what? I do got something to say. You're a fucking bitch. And he's like, oh, I'm a bitch? Well, you're a bitch. And I was like, okay, cool. I get that. But here's the thing. I called you a bitch and you're not punching me. When I get close enough, we'll see. Because you gave me the opportunity. And that's when it even got better. Because I said, I could tattoo circles around you. I said it literally, actually. I did a perfect circle on a guy's chest earlier in that episode, in that show. And that's one of the reasons. And he's a terrible tattoo artist. So I quite literally meant I could tattoo circles around you. And he says, you're awful. And so I'm like, all right, this motherfucker. And then I said something else I said, that's why there's 6 seasons of Miami Ink that have proved just what a shitty tattoo artist you are. And he got so hurt. He got hurt as bad as any elementary school teacher ever when I pointed out the fact that the fashion of hairstyle that they're using is just to relate with the fucking kids, because no goddamn adult goes around with their fucking hair all ratted up like that, like you're in some kind of swinger movie or rock video. But that made him so mad. And so he put his fist outside. He says, come at me, bro.
Yeah, she said, come at me, bro.
He did. So come at me, bro. And so I'm like, well, he's the judge, right? We follow what the authority figures. So I'm taking off my gloves because it's a little cold that day, and I don't want to feel that in between, And I'm not a puncher. I'm not but I'm gonna punch this fucker. I'm really bad at punching. I'm bad at I wrestled, and that's as far as it's gotten. There have been times when I've gotten in street fights, and I'm trying to pin a motherfucker before I realize that no one's saying win, and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta hurt him or something. But I wanted to punch him, and I'm coming up on him, and he just keeps getting shorter. From a distance, he might look kind of taller, and he just gets shorter and shorter. And I swear, this kid's come up to my belly button by the time I get up there. And then I was like, I can't do anything. And then he looks up at me, and he snarls, and he says, shh, yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, oh fuck. So I gotta at least throw him, right? I gotta pick him up and make his feet dangle. And let him, so I did. And he wasn't that heavy, so it was kind of easy, and I gave him a good 2 to 3, feet push. But he was incensed. The fact that I touched him, and that's when he turned into the bitch that I had called him. And it was easy for me to walk away then, because I was like, oh, well, look at you, that little bitch. And, but that then ended they actually asked me if they're like, do you want to, stay? I'm like, wanna? I have some control over, I'm going home, right? Honestly, after it felt so good, because I'm like, I know I'm getting a plane ticket home, going to see my family again, this part's over, and I've given them something to put in the can that will be their commercial. I don't know, the first season, I was their commercial. Me and there was a guy that was a supposed prisoner. First day on filming, they put us in a jail cell. And I've been institutionalized before, so I'm kind of like, I know that this isn't right. You cannot introduce a possible bloodborne disease inside of a jail cell. If you did do that, then all of these guys are in good time. Like, they have been so good. These are going to be the nicest inmates ever, because you're not going to give a privilege out to a dick. But all this is falling apart. You're like, wait a second, so we are going to be tattooing prisoners? And then I come into my prison cell, number 13, of course, and he's in there like all pissed off, and he's got a toothpick in his mouth, and he wants to fight with me, and he's telling me I have 3 hours to tattoo him, but they told us we only have 45 minutes, and we have to use a single needle, and I'm trying to explain to him the limitations that we have to keep his tattoo in, and he's saying, no, you got 3 hours, this is my block. And I'm like, well, that's not the way it's going to work, obviously. Now he's getting like heated on me, and I'm thinking the COs are coming in. And that's something weird too, because one of the COs had a fucking earring, dangling earring, funny looking thing. But like he was back in the day, he was like, dude, fucking, I like to go to my Motley Crue concert. I like to watch my Ultimate Warrior wrestling, and I like to wear my dangling earring. So just fuck off, right? So he's got his badass mullet and that dangling cross, and that was odd, because as a CO, you don't have dangling earrings for sure. You don't really even ever wear jewelry, because you might have to break up a fight. But so I hear something coming down the alley as this guy, and I'm like, okay, so the COs are coming, they're going to get this guy, and we're going to reset. I don't know what, but they're going to pull me out. It wasn't. The camera came in. I looked down at the camera because the guy was blocking my exit. I looked down at the camera. The guy sees my eyes. He follows them, sees the camera. He looks at the camera and says, get the fuck out of here. I'll tell you to get the fuck out. I'll tell you to come in here. And the camera then walks a step closer and zooms in. Like, you're a bitch. And that's when I was like, okay, you're a bitch. And that's when I turned two. That's when I turned two, because he was like, wow, what you going to do? And he had a toothpick in his mouth. And I thought, well, I'm going to punch you in your face, and I'm going to laugh as you aspirate that toothpick, because no fucking idiot is ever serious about getting in a fight with the toothpick. I said it very verbose. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm going to fucking punch you in the face. I'm going to watch as you die in front of me, because you will aspirate on that toothpick, because no fucking fighter in the world is stupid enough to think he goes in a fight with even bubble gum in his mouth, right? You get him choking on that, get it down the wrong hole, everything just changed. It's like a nut punch, too. Like, no one ever thinks about nut punch. If I get in a street fight, two things. Eye gouge, nut punch. I learned it from watching the UFC. If there's anything that gives them 5 minutes, there ain't 5 minutes. 5 minutes will let me run away. You know what I mean? The first thing I do is put my hands up like, I don't want to fight, and ton chances to get your eye. And then the very next from that, if I missed or if I didn't, still, nut punch. I often think about a comedy skit that I think would be hilarious with like a really young girl teaching a self-defense class, or that became like a UFC or a no-holds-barred champion. And basically, she just trains on nut punches. You know what I mean? Like, the guy comes in to challenge her, and he's like, what the, like, yourself? He's like, I don't know. I've been in this fighting for a long time. I've never been taught anything by a girl. And she's like, oh, yeah? I'm going to uke you. Come on up. You're the next contestant. He's like, so what would you do if you're going to fight me? He's like, I wouldn't fight a little girl. Bam! Punches her and punches him in the nuts. And that's where you made your first mistake.
100%. And I'm telling you right now, you'd be down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you see the biggest guys, right?
100%.
I don't know why we call it balls. Like, that guy's got balls. What do you mean? Like, he's easily offended and he will be down for the count if you nick him? Or we should start. I know why we say it, actually, I guess, because if women knew the power of their own pussy, then, or at least imagine by the stoic versions of our older selves, is the men, the chauvinists that have built the structures of society to be patriarchal and possibly wrong. I ain't saying it's right. I'm just saying that I know why they say balls, because they wanted it to get out there. If women knew how tough their vaginas were, if men knew, I guess. I mean, really, if you think about it, make a pair of shoes out of a pair of nuts or out of some vaginas. You're going to buy one set of vagina shoes. The nut shoes, you're not even going to want to wear them. You're going to be gently walking. You talk dirty to the vagina shoes, you might be getting places quicker. Ooh, baby, I like that. And sliding on the way into work. They would always fit. No matter what, you could let your friends borrow them, Oh, Bigfoot Larry could fucking borrow your fucking, and you get your shoes back and you're like, there's a little bit of a process, but yeah, they're going to fit again. Don't worry.
So you're on the show. They try to manipulate your mind all the time. They put you around people. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They put you around people that obviously you clash with. You probably did make friends on the show, right? You probably are still good friends with a couple people.
Yeah. Yep.
But so now you leave this show and you go back to the real world. How much different is your life? How is you and your family's life different? Did money come to you like substantially higher at that point? And let's just start to talk about the story.
Money is weird.
And how long ago was that?
The foreclosure went on. So it did. They took my house, and it was a surprise foreclosure. So actually, a week before they took my house, we got an email. I think it was a week and a half before, we got an email that said, hey, we're going to follow along on the HARP, which was a program that was supposed to be helping us at the time to renegotiate our loan. And they said, we're following through on the HARP, and you wanted to renegotiate, or you wanted to, you still want the house. And we're like, yeah, we do. They're like, cool, so don't worry about the foreclosure, and we're going to take care of it. And I don't know how the email went. I don't see it anymore. They stole my computer. They came in, they took everything we owned, my wedding dress, my photo albums, washer, dryer, TV, car. Because my wife, again, was in Massachusetts and driving along the East Coast, hitting up our already obligations for tattoo conventions. So she wasn't there to stop anything. And we actually got a call from Candy's sister. He called her up and says, all your shit's out to the front yard. Like on the east side of Flint, also this was in Grand Blanc, the Big White in Flint. So like that's the high end. I'm sure it was a shock for them to see an eviction, certainly in that area. But everything did change. We lost the house. I just decided to get out of the tattoo shop. I actually gave the tattoo shop away to a guy that was my artist from a long time ago. He didn't work for me anymore, but I just said, hey, will you take over the bills? It's yours. You get everything inside. I mean, you get a working business of 10 years, and we kept it afloat. It was a good business to go to. But then we jumped in an RV, and for the next 3 years, we lived in it. And we just traveled the country, because what it really opened up was an opportunity for me to travel, and that was kind of something I wanted to do. I don't know, I've never really gone where I wanted, but more where passion is. And I got a lot of friends on the road, and a lot of opportunity was there after I'd been on Ink Master. So I could get a free table at these conventions, and sometimes I could get a free hotel. All right, every time I would get a free hotel. Now you know my request list. But so I would get a free hotel, and then I would just have to make sure I got there while I was living in an RV. So that was a fun trek out there. We taught my son. I've always homeschooled my son. So everybody else sends their kids to school. If everybody would keep their kids at home, I would really trust public school so much better. Well, I can't tell you the times somebody will tell me the problems with public school, and then I'll be like, hey, honestly, I think it would be better back when the principal could spank the kid. I mean, I think, he's got to do it right. He's got to take some real thought to what he does. And they'd be like, yeah, they should be able to spank kids. And they're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know that my kid's not the one fucking up. It can be, and so if the principal needs to spank well, not my kid. You're like, well, that's the problem though, right? Like too many parents like you think that your kid's no, your kid's shit. Sorry. If you, the whole idea of learning away from your parents is weird, because you learn how to tie your shoes there, So I get it, and it's where we're at now as a society, but I think it's where we've pushed ourselves as a society too. And it would be nice to return to a little bit more holistic, kind of learn at home, follow your own passion. I can be your advocate here. You don't need to worry as much about so many things. If my kid decides to shoot up the school, he's just killing his mom and me. It's not even going to make the paper.
And so really, I mean, the information is coming from a place of love. I mean, you're going to try your absolute best and your wife's best to give that child the right set of programming to tackle this world for what it is and for what he's going to encounter without many illusions, you know what I mean? Because you've had your illusions shattered. You want to try to train that child to be able to go have a successful life, to have better opportunities. Like they always say, we want the next generation to be better, right? You know what I mean? If you're a good person.
Yeah, I think even Madison, a founding father, I almost preface anytime I talk about the founding fathers that they can all get fucked. They don't have any bearing on my life. Fuck them. They're dead. Is only what I mean to say. But I believe it was him who recognized that he said something like, I study politics and war so my children can study civil engineering and architecture, so their children can study art and literature. Which is also, when I really think about it, that is a clear pussification of America also. You know what I mean? So I love it. It's a great statement when you put it in the context of the smart talk that he says. But if I get in a conversation with somebody and we start talking about the pussification of America, which seems to be a real thing that many people are worried about, I also recognize that there was a plan there, at least by one of our more influential founding fathers, that would be, and that in a pursuit of a more perfect union, that's where we are going towards all fucking artists, all dickheads like me. maybe.
So really though, I mean, you would want that. I mean, if you experienced war and carnage and depression and famine and
You would
lack
wanna
of,
end it.
you would want your children to be able to live in a better world, right? So
Unless greed, but yes,
no,
right?
of course,
'Cause
greed
the root
is
of all evil.
greed, corruption. I mean, if money exists or if forms of power exist, people are going to go extreme with it, and they're going to only bring in other people that further their agenda and allow them to do these fucked up things. That if we were 100 people on an island, we would say, "Hey, Billy, you're kind of being an asshole. We're going to, get you out of this
you'd be
society
quiet for a while.
or you're going to have to consider the way your actions are affecting everyone else. You've hoarded all the food, and we're all starving. We're
Right.
going to take the food from you so that we all have an equal portion." 100%, man.
Socialism.
So in an idealistic, I get the idea behind that. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's just, it's such a complex problem to try to
is.
solve when you have 400 million people just in this country alone.
Was it Joe Rogan talks about? He's like, there's just too many people. You just can't. You can't. There's no way to make everybody happy, and there's certainly, and pissing people off certainly isn't the way. But
So at least if you're educating your own children through your life's experience, you're going to try to make the best child you can if you care about them and you love them and you want to send them out.
Such a good kid too, I'll tell you. And that kid, like, he schools me on a daily. His favorite thing is to argue, and he's so much smarter than me. It sucks because he's got like Google lessons and stuff, and he'll be like, "Actually, Jesus was just the first black was the first scapegoat," and I'm like, "No, that's a scapegoat is when you like a corporation." And he's like, "No, the fuck, he was right." I didn't know where the origination of scapegoat actually came from. I guess you could leave a goat out all night and it would absorb your sin, and then you killed it in the morning. And I don't know, it's something weird like that. But he was one of the first ones. And actually, even in the Bible, he was described as the scapegoat. And so I'm like, all right, I just won't argue with you anymore. This kid has grown up in the Ruby Falls. He's grown up at every battlefield on the East Coast. We take little lessons there. As a matter of fact, one time, I felt so proud because he was a young guy, maybe 9, maybe a little bit younger, and he's he would have had to been 10, maybe even 11. At any rate, however old he was, we're on the East Coast, and we're at a place where they were inoculating the troops. One of the things that actually allowed us to win the Civil War, our independence, was because of the inoculations. Because a lot of the majority of deaths were from diseases, and smallpox was a big disease, so they were inoculating. 1 in every 111 or something like that died from the inoculation, but they were inoculating them at them camps. And the guy says, "So, does anybody know what the number one killer of troops was in the independent war?" And my son, I say, "I don't know, was it like dysentery or something?" I'm figuring it's not the bullet, right? I'm figuring that's the reason we even asked the question. And my son pipes up and he's like, "Smallpox." And the guy's like, "Oh, well, actually, yeah, you're right." And he says, "Now, there's a thing about George Washington that many people," and my son says, yeah, he was inoculated when he was a young kid against smallpox." And he's like, "Yeah, actually, that's one of the things that George Washington brought here was the knowledge of inoculations." And so I don't know, it's a really proud moment, obviously, but all from his experiences. Here's a funny part about it: his experiences on the road. He never cared. Even now that we're not traveling as much, like all that time to him, it was just like, "Oh, I'm so bored to be here. I'd rather be playing video games or something,"
It's wild how perception is, you know what I mean? Where one person might be like, because you grew up in Flint, now you're traveling around the world, you're seeing different places. To him, that's just life. That's just life. I'm with mom and dad. I wish I could be at home. All
the adults coming to him being like, "Dude, how exciting is this?" Right? Like,
but you can see that he's gaining information. He knows about the Revolutionary War. He's saving facts. He's learning how to convey this information. You're seeing the young man. Exactly. You're seeing the young man grow is where I'm going with this. Yep. So what does your life look like now? How long ago was that? You're back. You're in Flint.
As soon as the corona hit, we stopped traveling completely because every show that we were going to attend stopped. And then it changed because I didn't have anybody to tattoo locally, really. And I still kind of have a pretty small local group of people to tattoo. So my money here in Flint is not the greatest. It's ironic how I make foolish decisions so often. Like traveling around the country, I made a clientele list in every state I go to. So some 37 states in America I can go to and I can work for about a week. And then after that, I'm done. And then I come back home and I've neglected it so much that it's like my garden is overgrown, and I have to, to make it productive farm, I have to I have to work it again. We're starting to settle down and do that. I took the unemployment because my job was completely gone, which was a different kind. And now I'm thinking about getting off of unemployment and attempting to bolster up my clientele here again. I'm just not looking forward to the work involved.
I was going to say, do you still have the same love and the passion for tattooing, or you got to refine? Do you have to look, to find that again?
Yeah.
Because you've been through,
Depends
from the bottom to the top. Oh, so really, the art has to be meaningful to you. It's got to be something that fires you up.
For me to want, because I'll still do it. It's still a paycheck. But at the point that it becomes a paycheck, you do lose a lot of passion. And there's ways that I found, though, to keep that from happening. A lot of tattoo artists say there's this idea among even clients that has been put to them by the artists that they've worked with, and that is that you should let the artist have free range and give him as much freedom as possible so that he ends up with the best tattoo, because he'll be passionate, and it's true. But it gets lost in these interpretations. So people will come in and they'll want to give you free range with a background. But meanwhile, I want to have the Stanley Cup. I want these 6 players. I want to have this. And you're like, you're making a collage of fuck. Like, it's going to look so nasty. Matter of fact, this one time, this hockey in very particular, where somebody sent me a picture of the Stanley Cup, of the whole Red Wings team, of like these kind of realistic, but this horribly done. And he showed me that, and that as a upper sleeve, it was a quarter sleeve, so just from the elbow to the top of the shoulder. And he's like, okay, now that's the kind of ideas that I want. And then he sent me another picture. I want it to feel like this one, though. Now, this one was a tattoo from the ankle, from the wrist, all the way up to the same spot, to the top of the shoulder.
To the top of the shoulder, so it's a full sleeve.
Yes. Sorry, thanks for the help with that. I'm having some technical
no
difficulties. But yeah, as it comes up to the top of that full sleeve, and this only had 3 images on it. So it was a matter of like showing them between your 2 images. Look at you want it to feel like this good-looking one that only has 3 subjects. One's a silhouetted person holding the Stanley Cup. One's the close-up portrait of a hockey player, and then one was something up top too that was like the ring. That's what it was. It was like some flash of the ring. But they weren't done simply, but because it was such simple ideas, it looked so much better. So he was basically saying, I want it to feel like this one with 3 subjects, but I want it to be this one with 10. You can't.
I want to be able to bring my whole family in this SUV, but I would like it to be as fast as a Corvette and be a sleek looking, but I want to throw my bags in the back 100%. You see the distinction between their idea versus the practical application, they don't.
To still have passion, because otherwise, but sometimes they'll get the worst when they say that. They're like, I want you to be passionate about this, so I want you to have free range with the background. And you're like, what, if I have free range with the background, it will become the foreground. This tattoo just got flat because I'm going to make the part that I love more interesting than the part I don't. And now, unfortunately, that's the background. And you always end up with a fucked up.
So your golden client is almost the client that has an idea or an ideology of what they're looking for, but can come to you as the expert and say, this is what I'm looking for in a piece, and then you can create it.
I want a subject and an emotion. Those 3 things can guide me. If they get beyond that, a lot of times, that's when it really gets problematic, because I've been doing it 26 years tattooing, so I know where I'm going with my tattooing. But you get a plumber who comes in, and he's been thinking about this tattoo for as long as I've been tattooing. He just hasn't gotten it, but now he's got all those stuck in his brain, like, well, none of those work. And now I have to sometimes go through it, like, show him why it won't work. The long, painful process of those things, you lose a little bit of passion. Like, I was just talking with a kid yesterday about that, because I am teaching some people. I've always been kind of a teacher, and I almost can't help it. At least now I've gotten better about when somebody doesn't want the information, I'm real quick to be like, all right, shut the fuck up, Kyle. It's not receptive soil. This thing's not tilled yet. They start asking like what I do in that situation. You're like, oh, you're not learning? Okay, right on, cool. Tell me, what do you do? Yeah, you've been tattooing 3 years. Tell me more about what you do. That's probably what you should get out of this.
And this generation, unfortunately, kind of is full of what you were just talking about, where they're so quick to inject themselves into it. And here's my versus like just taking information, like being quiet, listening,
Like,
not hearing,
yeah.
listening, absorbing the information, and then creating something with that down the road, or at least
But
understanding.
You got to know
something.
all too. Like that's kind of how you are having to do podcasts. I imagine in many cases. You know,
100%.
You
It's
have to
your
pull back
story.
a little bit occasionally.
Of course, I'm trying to see the subject sitting across from me and understand him and the information that I'm being presented, and then in real time ask engaging questions that an audience member or myself personally would like to hear.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like you have to detach from that. Like, well, guess what I did, Kyle? I got a cool story for you. You know what I mean?
did black and gray once too.
100%. So now you're back living in Flint. What's the name of your studio? That's
The one I'll probably be working at, and I think we're gonna is Millennial Inc. Is the one I gave away, and then it went through different hands of ownership, and now the kid running it. Ironically, I play a game called Call of Duty Mobile. So Call of Duty, but it's mobile, which keeps the graphics where I can handle them. Because the newer graphics, I'm just like, it's too fucking real. Sorry, man, I can't. I need polygons. I need something. But really what I think I like about it is my ability to control it. Because I can look at, instead of waiting for the joystick to have the thing, I have complete control with my thumb slide of where it aims in. But at any rate, this game I play with a kid that that owns Millennial Inc. And then he started hitting me up like, why don't you come back and hang out at least, see how you like the shop. And then he asked me to give some of the guys pointers there too, because they could be better along. And I'm this weird, I don't know if it's weird, I grew up in the ghetto and I kind of feel comfortable there. So I always like, I don't know, I drive a truck. It's got a dent. I won't drive a truck without a dent because then I'd be scared about not dent. Like I can't treat it like a truck at that point. And I'm not trying to be on anybody that's got a truck that doesn't drive it like a truck. I just mean, I know me. Like I can't get a nice set of sunglasses because I'm going to break them. I'm gonna, like a $200 set of sunglasses is the funniest thing. Like, dude, I got my new Oakleys, and you're like, oh my God, what do you do? Like, how do you care for them? Like, you can't scratch the lens. Can you imagine scratching a $200 pair of sunglasses lens?
honestly though, sitting and talking with you here today, you are very intelligent. You're very articulate.
I do all right
you
with
No,
it.
you really are. You're a very intelligent guy, but it does seem like you're almost afraid of reshaping who you can be or have the potential of becoming at the deepest levels of your psychology, because you're a man that understands so much into like the
Now
inner
you know
world.
me too well. I gotta go.
Bro,
All right, thanks.
you understand
It's
so
been
much
fun.
into the inner world, but yet that own inner world is the one that you can change and shape. The same way you can bring a
Right.
tattoo
but
to
it's
life.
also my bigger fear. Like, because I think that kid reaching out, watching the kids play in the room, be like, oh, that's how you get laid. Well, getting laid seems awesome, but man, it also seems like I could get some rejection. I don't know. Is it worth like?
But really, I can see it 100% because you're the man that knows that the change can be there, but it's so much easier to drive the truck with a dent because then you don't have to be the person without the truck that has a truck without a dent.
I think one of the things that got me warmed up, at least for Ink Master, was I was talking to some rich people, and I was like, dude, you're rich? That's fucking awesome. 'Cause you know what I like? Toys. I really don't like rich people, but I like toys. And you know what? Rich people, they let you ride their toys, and if they break, like if I ride my jet ski and then it breaks, I'm like, I got to fix it. If I ride my friend's jet ski and it breaks, he's got to fix it. Like he's got to put oil in it and gas. It's a bigger responsibility, and I don't know. Responsibility ties you to earth. I think in the end of my life, I really expect to assimilate like the Buddha. Just to disappear inside of a bunch of moths or like pollen, just blowing away in the wind or something. That's what I'm going for. And so I have to have disattach. I can't really attach too much. Responsibility attach you and grounds you to the world. So
you can inspire your child to do the deep inner work and like reshape any parts of his psychology that unlocks the full potential. But you're like, you know what? We'll keep some of these things until the time is up.
that's probably why I've invested too many times. I told you I have the blue snowball microphone for my son because at one time he wanted to, and then he wanted to be a podcaster of some sort or a vlogger or whatever the kids were he's watching. But then I was too excited, I think, about it, and it just took all the passion out. But it was because, as you're observing now, I didn't want to do it for myself. I didn't want to be on a podcast spouting off my stupid shit. But I did want to see someone else have my expertise in it, or what I imagined was my expertise.
Are you afraid of greatness within yourself to some degree, my friend? I mean, for real.
I think there's something there for sure. It comes with a lot of slings and arrows, and I don't know that I like to face them. You know, my wife has been the person who's inspired me in every case to any kind of level of greatness, and I appreciate her for it, and that's why she's around. She'll do it again. Right now, what we're really doing more than worrying about tattooing is we're trying to build a farm. And because there's so many grants and loans for farms, and then also she's pretty good with the market, so she's been manipulating the market with the little bit of money that we were able to scrape together on the road, and able to keep us alive for a minute. The unemployment's probably about to run out, so I'll probably have to get back to tattooing, which actually I look forward to.
But I mean, really, in your story, I hear, I mean, it's a wild story, and I hope people love this, but I hear a lot of kids in this life at a young age experience some type of defining factors or defining moments in their life, and they formulate who they are, they formulate the world, they formulate what their potential is, they formulate all these ideas. And basically, you craft this story of your mind, and in your mind, and you almost want to stick to your story. You don't want to break free from, like, that's your story. And for Kyle to shake free of the bonds that hold him down and become wealthy and blah, blah, that's a terrifying thing because it's an unknown. You don't know how you would handle that situation. Could you be responsible enough? Could you know?
I've been angry at wealthy people long enough that I don't even know if I could, like, what would that be?
That's what I'm saying. So how could you possibly transform into that man yourself? But you have extreme artistic parts of your personality that could propel you to an elite stage. That could be this man traveling around the country that others are learning from and growing from and being inspired by, and young tattoo artists that are being moved. I met Kyle Dunbar today. You lit up the room when you walked in.
It's weird. That's so weird.
Josh Parisian jumped up, my UFC fighter fighting on ESPN on
That's so
on June
exciting
19th.
too.
He jumped up and said, "Can I please get a picture with you?"
Not the exciting that he wants a picture. It's more exciting. I mean, I guess that should be exciting, but actually that's disconcerting somehow. But or it's odd. But it's so exciting that I just met somebody that is going to be fighting on the UFC on ESPN.
But think about that. You're like not accepting the spotlight. You're the man that's going, "Oh yeah, no, okay, that's cool." But like,
that's kind of why I do tattoos too, right? So like, the tattoo is like, it showcases somebody else. You know, it becomes their defining moment. And then I can stand back there and be like, what I did, that's me really, you know. Same as this kid, I give him credit for it on my neck tattoo. I'm like, really, I got an ink master because of the neck tattoo. I didn't have it the year before. I got it that year. They asked me specifically, I was only half done when I went to see him. They were like, you're getting the other half done? I was like, yep, next week. And they were like, oh, good. So there's probably something that I'm scared of greatness, and I don't know that it's unwarranted yet. Because I'm really happy being me, kind of, or I like who I've been, and I think that riches, as I've seen, they become an overriding. The Bible even tells us, right? Like, that's the sin of greed, is that it takes you over. And that's why you can't have two other gods.
I don't think it would with a guy with that your experience,
If
your
I balance
psychology.
it,
Man, I really think that you would find a way to balance it because you've seen all the sides of it. You wouldn't be going in and going, "Oh, now I'm this rich prick." Now you would go, "Holy shit, I don't have to worry about."
Get to being a rich is without being that rich. I don't know that you can. I think at one point you have to make.
I think it comes down to your heart and who you are at the deepest levels. Get rid of all the bullshit. Get rid of all the identifying factors. Get rid of how you align yourself politically or religiously or yada, yada, yada. If you're a good person at the deep level that wants to care for the people in your life around you, your family, your loved ones, your child, you would do anything to provide for your child an opportunity to be the most successful, right? So if you stay that person, and you're going to slip, you're going to fall, you're going to step in potholes, but if you stay that person, I think you absolutely can.
All right, well, that's what I'm going to do then. But be rich. Watch. No, I think we're on our way there. I mean, honestly, it's what you're saying is you're really good at this. If you didn't already know, because it's all things that my wife and I kind of wrestle through. We have a good understanding of my mental limitations sometimes, or if that's, I don't even know if that's the right word, but the way my brain works, and it becomes like I am scared of the weight that it has on my family. There's a responsibility of action that I don't like, but I have. Like, I'm really magnetic. I'm really, I mean, people like to be around me and shit. And I don't like that. I don't like. All I want to do is play video games, and watch TV. I swear to God, it's all I want to do is play video games and watch TV. But I wouldn't ever feel happy if that's all I did. You know, that would be like eating ice cream all day.
There's a serious puzzle in there that if you solve it, I think you unlock the key that most people are lacking in their lives is the way to get rid of past trauma, realize that like what has happened to you does not define you. What you've gone through does not. That's honestly just makes your story cooler. Like I love meeting people that are crushing it, that have had horrible backgrounds, because to me that shows a powerful person.
Right.
That shows someone that chose to endure.
Shows you it's possible.
My mom committed suicide. I lost a girlfriend in 2.5 years to suicide. Like I've watched people end it. I've watched people say, I can't endure what this life has thrown my way.
That's fucking rough.
So people that go through extreme ups and downs.
This is what you've been through yourself. Two people that you love that closely.
Yeah, that's what shattered my illusion. So I lost my mother when I was very young, and then I fell in love with this woman named Michelle Matthews, who like I thought I was going to marry. She was the love of my life. Like we were those young as teenagers, like we were going to take on the world together. You know what I mean? She had struggled with depression. I had struggled with depression, but like we were going to make it, man. We knew that like we were going to make this life our own. And my parents, my father and my stepmother decided she wanted to move to Michigan. I grew up in Philly. And so I was...
Love Philly, man. That's a tattoo town right there.
Yeah, man, Philly. And
largest tattoo convention in the world. Make sure you go sometime.
I did not know that.
It is. It's fucking awesome.
So my girlfriend and I, it was us against the world. My stepmom made us move to Michigan. So me and her tried to make the long distance thing. She fell into a deeper depression. She ended up taking her own life. And like, so I had all my illusions shattered.
So you have some kind of almost a feeling of obligation or like control on it too.
I mean,
Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like,
for a long time.
There.
For a long time,
okay,
it was like
hurt that you had to forgive yourself.
100%, because it would have been different if I would have been there.
Yep.
It would have been different if my parents wouldn't have made me move, and then it turns into hatred.
Now hatred for them,
hatred
anger for yourself
father,
for being mad at them.
And then you have to work through all that. And it took years for me to go back and like really get to the truth of things.
When did this success start coming? Was it around the same time that you were able to get over that? Or
I feel like I kind of figured a lot of my psychology out in my early 20s. Somewhere in my early 20s, I started to reshape who I was as a person. And
do these people know, too, what this even is? Now I think about it, I'm like, this. They don't. Do you take them on a tour of this facility? Because it's pretty fucking. I mean, this isn't. I just came in I came the dirt roadway.
Oh, just came from Mueller.
Yeah. So like, I'm like thinking, man, we're out in the Hicks, and then we come out to the city still. But this facility here is, you wouldn't know it would be here. I wouldn't have known if it was sprawling like this. I thought there was several businesses, and then to see, like, I come in and I'm like, no, that's like a Y. We're at the Y, right? And certainly enough, there's a bunch of sweaty motherfuckers training over here. The facility is top notch.
I appreciate it, man.
I ain't been to the UFCs, but I've been across this USA, and I go to gyms everywhere. I get invited to gyms everywhere. People are like, hey, Kyle, what do you like to do? You're in my town. I want to treat you. I'm like, you know what I really like to do is I hear that you were in Muay Thai. I'd love to train a day at your gym, you know? And so I go and I see these awesome gyms with good fighters oftentimes, too, that are kind of, in the home base or something. You know, they oftentimes travel, too, to give promotions around. But this facility with that many bags, with that many specialty bags.
You've only seen one room. We have a whole nother training room over there. We have a full hot yoga studio. We got 20,000 square feet.
That's awesome, dude. And it's all got to be from your passion.
I'll tell you right now, when I figured out the inner world, the external world changed.
Right on.
And it took a lot of work, and it took a lot of letting go of hate, and it took a lot of redefining moments of my life.
Meditating too?
For sure.
Still doing it?
Meditation. Honestly, not now, like in little spurts throughout the day.
Right.
Like I take the time to be quiet and observe my thoughts, but not like a therapeutic process that's needed for me to be successful anymore. I did float tanks. I did multiple things.
Do you do float tanks here?
No, but I hope to put it in the future.
You let me know. My son, this awesome son of mine, is like, he's so into so many different weird things, and he wants to do a deprivation
100%. Sensory deprivation tank.
Yep.
For the people that haven't looked into it, it's basically like you're floating weightless in an Epsom salt solution that's very close to your body temperature. It's dead silent, it's pitch black, so you're shutting down so much of the external distraction, and you can go to some deep places in your mind. Like I'll tell this on the podcast real quick. The first time I ever went in a sensory deprivation tank, I usually, like, once I got my stuff together, because this was only a couple years back, I have a pretty quiet mind. And most people I know don't have a very quiet mind. Like, my mind, when I don't want to be thinking, is pretty quiet. And that I was not the way I grew up. Like, I always had this monkey brain, just
More from training, I'm guessing, from your meditation and all this.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe the martial arts, or looking in my mind, or trying to restructure my thoughts. But anyway, I have a very quiet mind. So I slip into this like where I'm just consciousness floating in the universe. I swear to God, I like detached from my body. I can't feel my body. I'm just in a thought, and I'm an observer on a journey. Well, I'm barely aware that I'm a body at this point. I'm just observing what's happening. I have my thoughts. And with that being said, I came to this one sentence, and I'll never be able to articulate to the way that it hit me as profoundly as it did. But it basically was the idea that like all I am, all that you will ever experience of James Gray from this moment till the end of my life is an expression of what I believe myself to be at the deepest level. So if I define myself as like, I'm the person that doesn't deserve to be in the spotlight, or I'm a person that cannot publicly speak, or I'm the person that belongs, that owns a truck with a dent, I am creating like a self-fulfilling prophecy at the base level to then live that experience. But if I redefine that initial thought, because all I am is really consciousness experiencing this reality and trying to define myself based on what I've perceived. If I change that, everything will change.
Some real Elon Musk shit there. And then it did then.
And it did. And
listen, this facility is 5,000 square feet?
20,000 square feet. And it's honestly, I was a kid that when I started getting my things together, teaching out of my basement initially, going one day, I'm going to own the largest and most successful mixed martial arts and fitness facility in the state. UFC fighters are going to travel from around the world to come here, and we are going to change this entire community. And people were like, good luck with that. Yeah, and then I did. So I don't know if you want to believe in the law of attraction or anything. It doesn't matter. All I can tell you is, from my personal experience, if you change the deepest levels of your psychology, every opportunity, there's probably millions of opportunities that pass right by people's face all throughout their life.
Right.
They don't seize those moments because a lot of times they don't feel worthy of those moments. Because at a deep level, they don't define themselves as those.
People don't get cool tattoos for the same reason. It's like you're preaching to the choir for sure. I wish that I had better hearing it. I'm going to try and absorb that, actually, because this matters to me. I have a friend, his name's Gray too. Halo, Damian Gray. Is that his real name? It's not Damian. He picked that one. The little lion fucker. But Halo on the show too. Amazing artist. I thought he should have won. He was on my season 4. The last time I was on, I blew up at the judges. And he has this facility now, this art facility that is similar, very, very similar to this. Like you walk in and you're impressed by it very immediately. You're like, this isn't a tattoo studio. It's got museum quality work, originals on the wall, and it's got sculptures. Everything is placed there with the purpose of art, with art titillation. It's rough. I don't know how I'd tattoo in that. I would need to change my brain you know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's not a truck with a dent, that's for sure.
To feel welcome, to feel that you deserve to be in that moment, that you've worked hard and you have acquired the skills and you are the man that belongs in that moment.
Well, there's that. I think that's it. For so many years, I've sold people higher than they deserve to be. Like, you get in a conversation with somebody and you're like, man, I really thought you weren't dumb, but you're dumb as a box of rocks. You know what I mean? You kind of like, eventually you're like, holy fuck,
they're just people.
I didn't want to expect, I wanted to think that this person had the same abilities of critical thinking as anybody would, as I would, because I'm not so special. You know, I guess that's it. There's a level of special that I don't like to accept.
Now, imagine if you were sitting across the table from me. Let's flip this. And you saw a man that maybe I was incredibly talented at jiu-jitsu. I'd done crazy things. I came from a story.
Short.
Yep, that
Didn't
kept
we
selling
just watch that kid fight?
You know what I mean?
Who was that black kid that fight against like Oliveira just maybe a month ago? Edwards. Wasn't it?
Leon Edwards?
Wasn't Leon Edwards. Man, this kid's really good, but he made a joke of the whole thing. And he ended up getting beat every round he went out there, but he had the ability to beat. He's a really creative fighter. And
see, you just touched on the piece that I was trying to get to. Oftentimes, other people see the potential within us that we have to first see in ourselves. You have to go back and realize that regardless of where you grew up, regardless of how much money you had, regardless of whether you had both parents or not, regardless of all these circumstances, it doesn't define you. That it's irrelevant. It's just your story.
I want to find that fighter now and get him in touch with you so you can give him a little pep talk.
But you know what I'm saying?
You were seeing in the end of it, you're like, you were happier to be taking your picture just being in the ring, dude. That was the problem. It's like St. Louis. Why does St. Louis never win? Because New Orleans parties no matter. If you guys just saved New Orleans, if you're watching, Next time they lose, don't party. Teach them a lesson.
It's true, man. Winners, they know they're going to win. It's weird. It's like in your psychology. You know you are meant to be successful. And even if you don't win, you will give your best effort because you view yourself as someone that's going to be successful.
Connor had that so many times. He was great. And I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but it was his fearlessness.
It was his aura
that allowed him to be the greatness that he was, because he would stand there and put his chin out. And you'd be like, why isn't he getting struck? Or yeah. I think people now that they've seen through that, they're able to give him some leg kicks and take him down. You know, I don't know. I kind of want to see him fail. I don't know. I'm that shitty person? I need to stop that maybe, because like when I recognize it, like the same, like that's why it is. That's why I don't want to be on the pedestal, because I know the pedestal is the place that we also determine that's where we start to take you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Once
but
we put
you never
up there,
heard that quote. It's not the critic that counts. It's the man in the arena. You haven't heard that quote?
I have.
That's life, man. It's like
I don't know that I believe it though. I keep on going with reality is perception, or perception is reality.
Yeah, but let it be their perception.
Switch it.
Tell you what, when you live the life in standing in the spotlight and you're showing your art and your talents to the world, and you have all these other people that are trying to create a false perception, it's not yours. That's not your reality. You're still the one in this beautiful environment, taking care of your family, showing your skills and art to the world, and being a human being to the fullest.
That's what Jake Paul actually is the embodiment of. The motherfucker went to a UFC after beating Ben Askren. And I've never been, maybe Ben Askren was great at one time. I've never seen him win a fight. I'm sure he was great, but when it was coming up that he was going to fight Jake Paul, I was like, Jake Paul's going to beat him. There's no way. He's not a boxer. And then when you see him come in looking like he is in the shape of a bag of milk, you're like, what the fuck? This guy wants to lose. Like, and he's going to set up the next fight for. But Logan knows that. Then he went to a UFC event and they're all chanting, Logan Paul sucks. And how much did he love that? You know, he was like, all of you are going to pay $50 to watch me get my ass kicked.
It's like the Mayweather thing, man. Love him or hate him, you're going to watch him. And that's why he's
Mayweather changed my opinion on Conor. I loved Conor. And I don't hate Conor. But then I was ready to see him fail, I guess, because Mayweather pointed out something that was right. I didn't like Mayweather. And the reason I didn't like Mayweather was because he was a winner. When he was given the choice to be a good man or to win, he won. Remember, you know when that dude dropped his arms?
Yeah, but he blasted him when
the ref didn't stop it, and it was
but technically by the rules, protect yourself at all times. You can do that, but it was such a low class thing.
Oh, I hated him. And then he was going to fight Conor, and I'm like, Conor, I don't think you really got so much of a chance, because we've seen this before. It's around the 6th to 7th round. It's going to happen that you're going to be like, boxing's different. And I saw that during their press releases, Mayweather said something that was like, oh, he's doing my formula. And so I was like, yeah, it's kind of everybody's formula, ain't it? But yeah, he's doing your formula. Flashy, talking shit, getting everybody's interest up. And I don't know, when he said that and when I saw the truth to it, I was like, well, now Conor's the same as Mayweather. How do I choose the one that I want to fight based off of their who I think their humanity? Because now they just became the same shitty ass motherfucker. And it actually made me some money, because I was like, yeah, no, Conor's going to lose about the 7th round.
And really, I mean, that is a psychological thing that you can witness all across society. A lot of people that are not fully fulfilled, or that are afraid to step into their own greatness, or avoid the spotlight, they do like to see others fail. I hate to say that, but it almost like it
justifies
makes it easier
them not
for you.
Doing things.
It really does, because if you
see on a couch and you failed, well, that's why I'm here drinking my beer.
100%. Whereas most of the people I know that are absolutely crushing in life, that are winners, that are phenomenal people, like probably the gentleman that you described, I bet you that artist is just radiating energy out in his beautiful studio, because he is living in his power.
And he has people that hate him in the same fashion.
100%,
you know what I mean?
But he is living in that power.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know what? That will be very abrasive to anyone else that is not living in their power.
It's tough for me. Is very good. I mean, I've known him before we were on the show. I convinced him in his living room to go on the show with me. And honestly, our relation kind of suffered, because I think he took a winning path. I love him still to this day. So I hope if this does get back to the kid that he's not hurt by it. But I think he did definitely talk to my wife before I did. When I talked to my wife, she was like, Halo told me already what went on. And I think you just need to beat that little fucker's ass, Kyle. And that was, she's always the right choice for me. Now, he also talked to her moments before that. And if he had told her, Kyle, I think Kyle could do good if he stuck it in, or he needs this or that, then I don't know that wouldn't have been facilitated. But it certainly worked in his best interest. And if you watch the film of me breaking down, when I go across the line and I'm getting ready to beat that little fucker's ass, you right behind me, you see my friend Halo. And Halo puts his head down. And maybe it's the edit, but in that moment, when he sees me rising up, and instead of him, like I would, like when when my boys is about to fight, we are about to fight. And so instead of mean dogging motherfucker, he's checking to see if his shoelaces are untied, or, our relationship somewhat, because I think that he looked at the win. At that moment he looked at the W. He knew I was going through some heartache too. I don't think he cared. He didn't. It wasn't like heartache, but there was a lot of it that wasn't sitting right with me. They were really, the second time back, they were really making it a point to really applaud one particular person. And I believe that they realized that by applauding that one particular person, and then by not giving, same as if you only took care of your firstborn son. You know what I mean? If you're like, he's the best, and the rest of you, tiki tiki tembo, no san, rainbow, cherry berry, ruchi peperi, pimbo. You ever read this story?
No. But I get the analogy exactly. You're gonna draw out emotions. You have them all there in contestants. They're all artists. They're all these people, and you're putting one person on a pedestal and saying, "Hey, don't you guys wish you were this person?" You're gonna draw out raw human emotion from doing so. They're good at manipulating.
If you give that to me, I think it goes a little different, and that's also good. They know that. So, like, if you give it to Kyle, who's not found the ability to say that he's worth this yet. Or you give it to somebody who has found the ability but isn't really worth it, and he's built it up on bravado. How's that going to respond? So if I get that grape, we'll call it a grape, because I liken it to the grape monkey in the scientific experiment that sometimes they use to prove different aspects of human nature. Sometimes they use it to prove women's worth in the wage gap. You're familiar with the two monkeys? A grape monkey, right? So they give one monkey a rock. They give one monkey a fucking grape. Okay, no, cucumber. They give one a cucumber. First, he gets the cucumber because he's the first monkey. He does the thing. He takes the rock. He puts it through the hole. He gets a cucumber. Thanks for the cucumber. He begins eating it. I like cucumbers. They're all right. Next monkey goes. He puts the rock through the hole. They give him a grape. Love grapes. Fucking love grapes. Man, that's so great. Look, I got a grape. What'd you get? A cucumber? Fucking dick, idiot. Ha ha ha. Oh, you give me the rock again. I'll put it through the hole. I'm going to get a grape. You're going to give me a grape, right? You gave him a grape. Give me. It's a fucking cucumber. He throws it. A minute ago, he was eating it. They give the other guy the rock. He gets the grape again. He just acts like, that's the way it goes. I don't know what you're doing wrong. Certainly fucking something up. They give it to him the third time. And on the third time, that monkey is so demandant of his grape that he tries to literally bite the hand that feeds him. He's about 15 pounds, and these are 250-pound doctors at least in front of him. They outweigh him. They are bigger than him by 9 times. Everything about them, he should not, but he is so livid he wants to kill him. They were giving the grape to the right monkey in this case. They knew that guy would walk through and be like, if you don't like fucking cucumbers, have you tried eating grapes?
And it shows the comparative nature in humanity and animals in general. Whereas, if that other monkey didn't exist and that grape didn't exist, the other monkey's like, hey, thanks for this. I gave you a rock. Cucumber's perfectly fine. Yeah. But as soon as he's looking at this little cucumber and seeing this other monkey that did the exact same activity, there's rage, there's emotion, there's comparison. There's a million quotes about it, but comparison does kill joy. If you have a nice car and then you see someone with a nicer car and you feel insecurity, it's because you're living in that reality that, why don't I have that car? Why don't you look at the person that doesn't even have a vehicle? You could compare to that one back. Wow, right, I'm very fortunate. But that monkey brain is just like, oh, why did you get this? 100%, man. So
I think I live in that often. Did you ever, right before this, did you go rich ever? Like rich crazy in your mind? Did you, I say that because one of the richer people I've ever known who was able to transform his life with a seminar. He explains he went to this one seminar, went to some rich dude. It was about real estate, and the guy was like, how much, you got some money? He's like, yeah. He says, I got like $5,000 saved up. He says, what I want you to do is take that $5,000 and go spend it. I want you to just fucking waste it this weekend. I'm talking about strippers, limos, alcohol, cocaine, whatever you're going to get your head around. He's like, go out and live your best life. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a desire to live that life. And that's going to be more important than anything I'd tell you about work, because your desire is then going to make you go back to work, especially since now you don't have any money. You build up a nest egg, you begin collecting it, you don't want to let it go, you never spend it, you just keep it right here. And that guy, so that's why I wondered, before this, was there a point when you're like, you made yourself see the life you wanted to live?
I don't know if it's the life I wanted to live, but money came to me really early on. Like when I was only 19 or 20, I got a service advisor position at a dealership, but I was making like $4,000 or $5,000 a month every month. And then within like 2 years, I was the lead service advisor in the company. I was training everybody coming in. And some months I would get $7,000, $8,000, $9,200 was the most I made in a month. I made that in a month. So imagine being in your early 20s. I put a 72-inch TV in my bedroom. I got a supercharged Mustang Cobra. Right, yeah. I got a motorcycle. I bought my first house. I had all of the things that I was told that like, get these things and you'll be happy. And then actually I went through the reverse process. Yeah, I woke up at like Tuesday morning. Like I still remember it was almost 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. And I had this depressed feeling. And I was like, oh, it's probably just stuff from childhood or whatever. But then I followed my thoughts. I'm pretty good at doing that. And then I realized like none of my happiness is tied to any of these things. Right. Like I will live in a 1-bedroom apartment driving a Dodge Neon, which is my first ever car, a broken down Dodge Neon, if I am doing what I love to do, if I'm doing what I believe in, if I'm doing something from my heart. So I literally, like the most clarity I've ever experienced in my life, like a light switch flipped on me. It was like I'm a different person now. I went into work the next day, put in my 2 weeks notice. Hey, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. I'm gonna start my own martial arts team, and because that's what I love to do. I love to do jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And I just YOLO'd it, man. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I flat out was like, this is what we're doing. And from that moment, that light switch flipped. I've been a different man since. So, and I'm the person, for some reason, fear just doesn't really register. I think it's because I hit such rock bottoms in my life and so many like, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, it don't get better than this.
That I got to the point where it was either end your life right now or start living the way that you desire and fucking make something out of this experience. Like turn this life into something that you will be proud of one day, and then be an inspiration to other people and say, hey, listen, even if you've hit rock bottom, that's like a good place to build up from, man, because you shatter all the illusions, you get rid of all the bullshit, you realize you don't need people, you don't need.
If you think about it, your best foundation's on the rock bottom. You put it on bedrock, it's going to stay.
100%. So I flat out was like, you know what? I get one shot. I'm going to make this life what I want it to be. And then, like I said, I remember the feeling on the couch that night because I worked 72 hours a week. I had to be in work at 6:30 in the morning. I had to work till 7:30 some nights. Every other Saturday, like I was a slave to the system, but I had money. But then I realized like those years of my life were just blending. I was exhausted. I didn't give a shit about what I did. I liked the quick little people interactions, but it had no substance to me. Right. When I was doing jiu-jitsu was like the only time I was happy. So then I just found, it was like, you know what? Fuck all this illusion. Forget this rat race. Forget all this. Like, I'm going to be the guy that makes a difference. And once that clicks, like I'm the type of person that I have this like delusional belief in myself. But it was just kind of like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. And then, now you here we sit. We're having this conversation.
Belief in yourself. I like that, especially as a fighter, because it's many times when I first saw Uriah Faber fight, I wanted him to get his ass beat so bad because he had such a delusional belief in himself. After I saw him fight, I think actually it took 4 fights. But when I seen him, I was like, nope, this kid's right. He is the best in his class at what he does. I loved it.
So that's where, like, man, you just don't need to let life define you. You don't need to let your teacher's opinion of you define you. You don't need to let that authority figure that treated you like you were nothing define you. Because you just go, you know what, fuck all that. I have the potential to create a life that I desire. And, like, I think depression, when you truly are fully alone and you feel like you have nobody in the world, you realize like you don't actually need people.
Right.
You then just want good people in your life. So I just got to this point where I was just like, I don't need anyone, and this is what I'm going to do, and just kind of built from that.
That's tough to know that you don't need it because
you don't, man.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I got
no matter what
shit out in my brain. I still hate to. I already know like there's so much work left to do on Kyle that I don't know that I'm. I mean, maybe that's what's holding me back is the amount of work that I know it's even left and that I don't like to do work. Maybe I should just make it easy. But I feel the hatred for myself goes out towards other people. Like you cut me off on the road. I've cut people off before. Why do I get so mad at this person who does the same
maybe
thing
I was
I've
running
done?
late. Maybe he's having a horrible day. Maybe his wife's in the hospital. Maybe.
Those are the things you're supposed to think. I work on it.
Yeah,
Those
because
are my
I don't get
exercises.
bothered at all.
They're good for you.
I just someone cuts me off. It's just not
He
part
had
of
to
my.
be there. Yeah.
Whatever, you know what I mean? Like, unless you directly hit my car, put my family in, like,
Right.
it just is.
Right.
It,
And it can be
doesn't
done.
need an emotional. It just is.
What about the one driving by too? He's mad at you because you accidentally he's flipping you off on the side.
Honestly, I don't know why. It just doesn't. It doesn't affect emotion. You know what I mean? It's just it's an external thing.
I slowly begin to develop it. Always with me, it comes with ammunition of words. David Navarro said one of the smartest things. He said a smart thing one time. Somebody was writing him on Twitter, and they were like, you suck so bad or whatever. Fuck you. And he was like, yeah, and it will change my day. 0. I was like, wow, that's absolutely right. Like, it really is going to have no change on his day. And just like I've seen him, I saw him get. Which actually was nice to see him get turned down by a girl. He came up to this girl that I was tattooing, and he hit on her. And she was actually dating a guy that was kind of roundabout friends with him. Right, and she's like, oh, do you know so-and-so? He's like, oh, I do, yeah, I know him. And she's like, well, we're dating right now. He's like, oh, no problem. He took it so smooth. I was like, this motherfucker gets turned down occasionally. Not a problem. Didn't have any problems with it, though. He's like, cool, right on. I'm going to ask another girl to jump her bones. She's going to say yes.
Yeah, man, because really, if you have the feeling within yourself that, like, you don't need these validations from life. You don't need this. Who cares if you have a hater or not? Like, I don't care. Your opinion of me can be whatever it is. I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to chase my dreams, and I'm going to do what I'm passionate about, regardless of what you think. And, like, really, do those people's, like, if you don't care about them, and I don't even mean, I'm trying not to say this incorrectly. Like, I don't have positive or negative things about these random people. You're indifferent
Pretty
to me.
apathetic,
You're indifferent. So I don't care if you are a supporter of mine or if you think I'm the worst martial arts coach in the world. I'm going to continue to do martial arts that I love. I'm going to continue training people, and I'm going to continue providing for my family and living my life to this experience that I desire. You know what I mean? So it's weird. I don't know how you fully detach from that, because I know a lot of people that are very controlled by the thoughts and opinions of others. Or like, if I come up on a pedestal, how many people are going to be looking at me? I don't care.
How many people are going to be trying to shoot me down?
100%, man.
100%. I do have a fear.
But I'll tell you what, other winners won't be. It won't be the other people that have their shit together. I promise you.
Every time. But I feel like so many times the world rewards losers in this fashion too, of handing out mediocrity, the participation trophies and
we do need to go back to reality about, like, life is not fair. Shit will
so
happen.
tired of fucking taking away dodgeball. Like, fuck you guys. Every time, like, there's a good and bad to everything, right? Who is it? Jimmy Walker taught us that there was even a good part to crack, brought the price of a piece of ass down to $5. There's a certain genius in there. Yeah, there's a good and bad to everything. And the good thing about the bully is he hones the strengths. Like, Bill Gates is not Bill Gates without some bullies. Bill Gates did not get picked first on the kickball team. He was formed with bullies 100%. If we take away, the ironic thing, of course, is we take away the bullies. It's the craziest thing to me that we replace them with bullies about bullying. I remember the first time during the very onset of the anti-bullying campaign that started, let's say about 10 years ago. I walk into the mall back when you could still walk into a mall, and back in the day when malls actually had commerce in them, and I see a thing that says "just another dumb jock," and it's got a football kid.
That is literally bullying.
Thank you. And that's what it was. It was like, see how it feels. What the fuck? See how it feels? What wait, did you just bully me to teach me not to bully? Because I swear to God.
The eye for an eye theory or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Like,
and
one wrong.
Justifies the means. The same.
100%.
It's something that I have a hard time with inside of the world. Seeing like that, like, bring back dodgeball, please. Stop giving away participation. And not just for the purpose of weak children, but actually for the purpose of strengthening children. Like, what you rarely see is a bully that is a success. You know what I mean? Like, he may be a bully in this aspect. It's generally early on. And then, I guess I'm not going to say a name because we're still in Michigan, but there was a bully that outgrew all the kids. and he pushed everybody around. 5th and 6th grade were rough. If you weren't him, he was at least 40 pounds bigger than everybody. And then high school came, and everybody caught up their growth spurts. And he was nothing. When he graduated, I don't even know if he graduated. Like, I have no idea anything about him, but I know that that's the course of the bully, and oftentimes you might burn bright for a while. Somebody's going to kick you off the spot because you kicked somebody off of it, you know?
You know what's really trippy to think about is that bully is probably a kid that's experienced damage or somewhere in his psychology that has a lot of things that he's going through that is in pain, that if he got his shit together, like I said, good, super successful people that have healthy psychologies don't do that. But instead, if we demonize that kid and we tell him what a piece of shit he is, and then we make him reflect on the fact that you're a piece of shit, you're blah, 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 you were this person, now he lives the rest of his life by that standard. That could have been just that was a child at one point. At one point, that was a 2-year-old kid. You know what I mean?
There's some way, I don't know how to approach it, because sometimes I err on the side of freedom of speech needs to go. Sometimes. I'm not trying, because I feel like it's our greatest freedom, and should be. But then there's a pain that's associated too, or there's a cost that's associated with it, because...
you know what it is? Life is just fucking hard, Kyle. Life is hard. There's a lot of complex problems, and there's you know what I mean? Like, we all have similar desires if we're good people. We do want to find a way to be happy. We want to be able to find...
That kid himself who knows what's going on at home, and there's a real truth to that. But now, because of his action too, of course, it sets me up to be like, but fuck him. Who gives a fuck what goes on at home? Because
it's a vicious cycle.
And I'm also ready to become him. That's the amazing part about seeing these... I don't know how to frame them. I guess I'll just avoid from framing them. But the people that are heading up this anti-bullying bullshit is really, I think, been detrimental to America on a whole. Because always just let it be, right? Like, they're going to be. And just like that kid, that's what we should do. We should probably point out that the bully needs some help. Like, you see a kid bullying, don't stop him from bullying. Go help him out so that you can become his friend, and then find out why his parents are hurting him.
It's literally funny that you say that, because when I talked to the schools a little bit a while ago, because I laugh at the anti-bullying campaign. I don't laugh at the ideology that you don't want children to be bullied.
Right, of course.
Cool. Great idea.
I'm going to teach you.
But I'm telling you right now, the concept, the way they do it is ridiculous. I always would tell the schools, the best way I can affect bullying is you send me every bully. Send me the bullies to the martial arts classes. And they were kind of like, why in the world would we teach the bullies to fight?
Because they feel weak.
I'll tell you why. Because that bully walks in this door, he's not a bully. He walks out on the mat, and there's these professional fighters smashing the bags, and you see the person shrink down to the psychology at the deepest level. And then when Josh comes up to him, who could easily bully him, and goes, "Hey man, my name's Josh. Nice to meet you. What's your name?" And that kid goes, "Hey, I'm Ryan." And they realize this is a better way to interact with the world. You can actually start promoting change, right? But a lot of the times what we do is we hate something for its current state. We treat it accordingly. It reinstills to that person that this world is hostile, that they're bad, or this is this, and then it just makes the cycle worse. And then if anything, we're becoming a bully to someone that might just need some help, man, because good human beings shouldn't want to destroy each other. That's just not what we're about.
No, you're right. I think that's it. If we preach awareness and possibly weakness, if we help people, like we know it. If the bully is doing something wrong, there is a weakness. If you are bullying anything, actually, it's from according to smarter people than me, it's from a position of weakness. But we're not. At least I've not seen the campaigns that are addressing that. I think they should. Same with so many things that seem to have bravado attached to them. Sometimes it's like, well, maybe pull back and pull the curtain back and let the people see the wizard turning the cranks.
It probably is from a place of you're intimidated by it, you're jealous of it, you're envious, it's a reflection of something that you don't like. It's something that you're missing within yourself. You know what I mean? And these are real conversations. Like, I actually just had a gentleman, Dr. Seth Hickerson, on my podcast, who's like all about, the neurological states and the mind, and he's a Buddhist, and he breaks, and he was just talking about how much this country just needs like a mental health restructuring. Like, we need to go back to the internal world and start doing the inner work, because we are so materialistic now. We live in the virtual world. We live through our phones. We live through all these things, but we're getting away from the humanity side of life. You know what I mean?
I think the world's going to follow as we lead too.
That's the conversation we're having
now. The
now.
rest of the third worlds, or the second and becoming first world, are going to be following the same humanistic nature of that. We do. I know we do. And I feel it even when, in so many things, like I touch on this gun topic almost too often, and it's because I think it's got a lot of the trappings of that. I'm all about anybody. I'm not even all about. I don't give a fuck. Right? I'm pretty apathetic to anybody that has a gun until it's pointed at me, and then it matters a lot. And I have had guns pointed at me, and in the case that they were pointed at me, I've never responded in the appropriate manner. Not one time. And I don't know if the gun was pointed. I heard it shot, it racked. That time, I responded in the appropriate manner. Other times, though, I've been prepared to charge. I've actually threatened people. I'm like, really, go ahead. How do you think you're going to do in jail? Do you like getting your ass raped? Because, there's cameras, motherfucker. We're on the street. It ain't dark. Like, good luck. I've been ready to die since I was 10. Like, good luck, But something about that I've noticed that there's an addiction of the gun mentality, or at least as I was addicted as a young kid. And when I get to heaven, I'm going to be addicted again. I can't wait to get God Coke. It's free. It's accessible. You can't be addicted to something that's free and accessible. No one goes around being like, I'm addicted to air, And none of the trappings of it, the bad parts. Like, I still love cocaine. The only thing I don't love is like, if cocaine were not illegal, it suddenly wouldn't be nearly as bad. There would just be people having personal responsibility problems as opposed to the ability to...
Well, yeah, we have laws in place for that. If you steal from someone, or you hurt someone, or you kill someone, or you blah, 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 there's laws in place for all those things.
Yeah.
But it would be like, hey, if you're doing cocaine but not harming any of the people
Right.
around you, and you can financially support that, and you're not destroying your own personal life, or you're ready to deal
Yeah.
with the ramifications of your choices, then
Which
that's
are the
on
same
you.
reasons I say, by all means, have as many guns as you want. But I do notice that, so a friend will go overseas. He'll come in contact with his first gun. It will become an integral part of his life that even his life depends on. He comes back overseas. They take his gun away when he comes back overseas, but he finds himself feeling naked, insecure, and powerless without it, and buys one. Not just one sometimes, many times. It goes even deeper. And I'm like, that is the same epidemiology as alcohol, as cocaine. Like, that is the same as a disease, as a
Part
cancer.
of your identity, man.
It becomes, and I see this in the way that we respect. I think it stops us from being human sometimes, or it can. That's one of my things about not having it, because I know the person that I am when I'm enraged, and with a gun I'm only worse. And then I know the person I am when I'm depressed. And really, it's about self-preservation, because I don't want to eat a lead bullet. A friend of mine passed in that fashion, and I know that because you have so much anger for them. Me, myself, my friend, when I'm standing there over his casket with his mother. His face don't look anything the same. It's been plastered on, and they got makeup on everything. And, I love this kid. Yeah, I grew up with him since I was 1. And his mom's right there, and I'm like, man, I would punch him right in his fucking bird chest. He was like 6'3", had legs from playing soccer. They were 30 inches easy. If they were, he put everything on the incline rack, and then had me stand on it. Everything in the gym was on the leg press machine, and I was still standing on it. But anyway, this kid had a bird chest, so as much as he could kick you into the fucking ground, as long as you get one good punch right in that chest, he'd go down. And I'm telling his mom that, I'm like, man, I'd punch him right in his chest. She says you'd have to get in line, and the pain that I know that caused.
But if someone determined to commit suicide, they're probably going to do it. My mother sat in front of a train.
Yes, and
my mother walked out on the train tracks.
It gets easier.
Sat down, and let a train hit her. When you decide, how simple is that? Walk to a train track.
I think it is and is.
If you decide you're going to kill
yourself. I still got a friend of mine, and I won't say because he's here, but he slit his thighs, his neck, and his wrists. And
should you ban knives?
no, but in the case that he did have a gun, I know that he
right.
wouldn't still be here.
And I
still
also
get to
think
hang out with the kid, and I'm not.
You
now,
probably do have an unhealthy relationship with the guns because of what you've witnessed from a gun. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up shooting guns with my father. I was taught all about them. And if I could, I actually had an argument with my dad one time. I said, if I could eliminate guns from the world with the snap of my fingers, I would do it in a heartbeat. I don't think it should exist that you should be able to do this and take someone's life. I'm like the most anti-take someone's life from them possible. But since they do exist, I understand that, like, if you just restrict them from people, like you restrict anything, like other people
make another problem,
are gonna
right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I know that every single home in this neighborhood doesn't have a gun, and I'm a person that goes, I'm not going to follow the law, and I have a gun. Now you're all victims.
Well, there's a power there too, right? If I restrict anything, then it builds up this desire for it. Like if I tell a kid, hey, which in my case,
like
man,
cocaine.
I love porn. Okay, cocaine too. But if I'm like, if they tell me that my dick's a fucking dirty thing, and any thoughts that I have that are impure ain't going to go together, and I find myself like, wow, I really love porn.
So you almost have to restructure, like, the
up.
gun is a tool, and yes, it can be used very poorly, but like, I don't own guns. I don't like I don't shoot them, but I don't have any ill feelings toward them either,
right?
Because like I grew up shooting BB guns. Oh, this is kind of cool and blah blah blah. I would shoot little cans, and they exist. They exist, and they're a tool. You know what I mean? And like, they can be used for extreme bad, and they can be used for good. Like, I mean, there's just as many examples of someone pulled out a gun, like just in the church in Texas. You heard about it.
Oh,
the guy pulled out a gun and shotgun, blew the one dude away, was going to start just taking people out, and the guy stood up and shot him. And like, is that horrible to take a life? But yeah, you just watch them. Imagine you just watch your wife get shotgunned, and they're gonna. So if I could remove them, I would. But we have to like develop healthy.
Leonard Skinner proverb, right? Remember, he came out with that song, Mr. 38 Special. It's got a barrel, yeah, it's blue. And in the end of it, he says, why don't we take all these doggone guns and throw them to the bottom of the sea, right? And that was kind of the thing.
Is, man, if it could be
then
gone.
He comes back later and he says, give me back my bullets. There's a song that's called Give Me Back My Bullets. I'm done having my fun. I ain't joking around anymore. And like, I don't know, to me.
And that's the thing is, in our minds, we create stories and we do attach meaning to different things. Like, if you've watched someone, commit suicide by a gun, or you've seen gun violence, you're going to hate guns. If you were living in Afghanistan and troops came over and kicked your front door and raped your wife or killed your child, you're going to hate the troops. Your experiences formulate your opinions on things, and we have to be very careful as people not to stereotype large things. Like, you could have 3 bad experiences with police back to back to back. My cousin, who was my best friend growing up, is a police officer in Philadelphia. I've had horrible experience with police, but I have to separate because he's a phenomenal man, husband, father, good guy. Like, I'm like, you have to separate.
We're putting police in a bad situation right now. I wish I had an answer for it better that could give them more strength of who they are. They could, like, you can be a good. I feel like there needs to be more internal. Without any repercussions, whistleblowing opportunities for police officers. Because that I've seen through the ranks of police officers, a lot of times bad people will rise up and they're not stopped. You know what I mean? And they're almost sometimes even rewarded based on their misogyny, their chauvinism, their angers, their hatred.
Which, as a healthy society, we shouldn't support that. We should support that, hey, we would like a police force to help people in need, like but elderly.
We need police that have the ability to, because they don't feel empowered inside of that structure to go and speak out against the things they see that are bad. And without that ability, then when people are being like, look, this is bad, and they're like, well, it's not all cops. And it's like, but why can't you do something about the ones that, instead you've taken a flag and bastardized it and now used it to find your
And if
sense
you look,
of self.
though, it's like everything, man. If you look at the court systems in this country, justice versus how things are actually done. If you look at
some rich white kid's going to rape a girl behind a dumpster and get away.
I mean,
someone's going to use influence. The kid's never had limitations put on him, so when he was drinking and driving, he didn't know that people would die.
So it's just across all of society, what really needs to happen is people need to go back to doing the work in their own minds to become better human beings so that this entire experience is better for all of us. Because like when you separate the emotion and you separate the illusions and you break free from the chains of like what you were told and like, well, we have to follow what this person said because they're an authority figure. Not if it's a terrible thing.
Right.
Not if the system is broken.
That's why it feels to me if they need a channel without repercussion to whistleblow. And I think I'm imagining, I'm not really there, but I'm imagining they don't have it because I don't see them being rewarded for it, you know?
Well, I actually directly asked my cousin, he's an officer in Philadelphia, and I said to him, like, why don't more bad police get caught on a regular basis? Because, like, you're an officer in Philadelphia, and he openly will say to me, hey, I know really good cops, and I know really fucking bad cops. And I go, well, why are the bad cops still there? And he said to me, he goes, and I trust this man very much, he says, it's actually harder than you think because you need a very strong case and all the evidence. Like, you're about to go after one of the people that's currently the same position as you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It looks like you're doing it for political gain yourself.
He's like, and they know the system. He's like, you've got people that work in it every single day that know what is being recorded, what is not being recorded, how things work, how evidence works, how prosecution works.
Right.
And he's like, so when those people choose to be corrupt and they're within the system, he's like, it's a lot harder than you think. He's like, they're not just out there blatantly in front of me doing something that I would go, did you just do this to this person?
Right.
He's like, because they're not that dumb. They form their little clique. And they'll know who they can comfortably do shit around and who they can't, and they know how to play system.
Who they have dirt on, who they encourage to have sex with that badge bunny down the way, that now they can say, oh, well, now your wife finds out about this, but it was cool for me to take that $10 off of that fucking
So
pile.
he basically put it in a perspective, which is life, man. Like you said, perception is reality. And I started to go, wow, like I can understand it from a different angle then. Because I'm like, man, Shane, I look up to you a lot. You're a phenomenal man. I grew up with you. I know your character. I know your morality. You've been with the same woman since you came home from the military. You love her to death. You got a good family. You know what I mean? And like, it's like you're able to detach from the anger and the emotions, like, why isn't something, and go like, I can understand. But as a society, I agree. Man, we need, you know where it starts? Conversations like this, and looking inward and looking at yourself and your life and your actions and your psychology and trying to sort out the bullshit that life stuck in there, that some asshole crammed in your mind and it was like, well, since they were an asshole to me, I'm going to be an asshole to this person. We got to do that work, man. You know what I mean? And
it's not easy work, and we have to ask other people to do it. It's the kind of hard part. It's like when you ask somebody to do anything.
That's where, and you know what?
Fuck you. Who you tell me to ask? I don't need
I'm not
that
really
shit.
religious at all. I didn't really grow up with religion as a part of my life, and I think I would most closely identify to being a Buddhist if I had to pick a religion. But I'm pretty agnostic. But with that being,
Buddhism's nice as a religion that it's not.
Because there's not like a deity. There's not like you're going to purgatory if you don't.
I quote Buddha probably easily as often, well, a little less often than Jesus. I know more Jesus. But like to me, Buddhism and Jesus do not. It's not like oil and water. They go together just fine. Buddhism, I think, can integrate with almost any religion because Buddhism is more of a science than it is a religion. And my mom doesn't care for that much, but she also she thinks that Buddha was fat. So it's like, okay.
And really I'll take on my wall, if you go to my Instagram for almost 8 years, I had a quote on my wall. It just says, what we think we become. And that's from the Buddha, right? And I put that on my wall so that every single day I would see this super simple statement, what we think we become. And I know that I have to start with my thoughts. Beyond anything else, beyond what the world tries to tell me, beyond what the media wants me to believe, beyond the emotions that I might experience, I need to look at myself at the deepest level of my thinking, and I need to be the change in the world. Like it says on my Facebook.
But then that means you got to be changed inside yourself too.
100%. So my Facebook, the top quote,
which means okay,
that says it says.
See, you just keep making it hard. I just realized though through that you have to do the hard work.
It says the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own personal transformation. If we all took that responsibility, that I'm going to do my best, but then I'm going to hold you to the standards that you need to be your best. And then we're going to hold the police, we're going to hold the politicians. And we can only do that work once we've held ourselves to those standards. You can't not do the work in your own inner world and say, yeah, well, you should be doing this. You got to start with you because really you don't have much control outside of yourself. As much as you want to, your wife can leave you with another person, no matter how wonderful you are. Your job can fire you, no matter how great you are. You control you.
Right.
So if you do the inner work, which, you know what, it might suck, but the product that comes out, as a man that has done a lot of inner work in my mind, the product that comes out the other side will be so thankful for the person that was willing to endure the process of the uncomfortable, the upset, the emotions, the honesty within yourself that you don't want to have. It's worth it.
How do you find the work in your mind then translates to on the mat? Do you find that after that works in your mind, things on the mat become easier too?
I just think everything in life becomes easier because you just have a better clarity. You just know who you are, what you are, and I don't know, I feel like one of the guests on my show said it really well. He's like, there's like the mind, and then there's like what you really are. The mind, there's like a filter in the way, right? And he's like, and to your true essence, like beyond any label, like that, whatever we are at the deepest level, the closer you can get to that, the more that every avenue in life just makes sense. You just are able to express things more naturally. You don't need to, like there isn't as much second guessing. There isn't as much self-doubt. And like I can attest to that, at least through my own personal.
Talking. Easier 100%. Time communicating with people, I imagine, too.
100%, man. And you know what? You can see people as they are and not as you want them to be. Like that's one of my favorite things. Is like I can see human beings as they are. And like the man that I see being an asshole, I know that if I'm rude to him, I'm just further pushing that person to be. Whereas man, that's just who he is right now. That's a man that's probably gone through all kind of shit that I don't even imagine.
They were saying that about the masks. They were like, if you push a mask guy, a guy that's like not wearing a mask, then he will probably be more strident in still not wearing a mask. You're not helping that situation. And you're left with, well, what do we do?
So at one point, if you can just see other human beings as they are in this current state and wish for them that they get better, and like not be really attached to it, not be like, if you don't, now I'm going to be angry.
Everything, yeah.
It just is, man, because like our life experience will be better if human beings do better. And that comes from them holding themselves accountable. You know what I mean? And looking in the mirror and looking deep into their minds. You know what I mean? So sensory deprivation tank, meditation, smoke weed. I don't know what you have to do to reflect.
But you have to reflect.
But reflect and be uncomfortable and let it hurt and go back and rewrite bullshit that your mind has told you or someone else told you.
That's probably the biggest part right there. Let it hurt. That's actually probably the hugest part because all of the change is painful.
Otherwise, you want to run from
that pain. I think there's that when I was talking about the Florlando Castile, before we were talking here, and I was talking about police officers that were on that show, Flint Town, and the way they responded, and very few of them, after seeing the scene, none of them actually responded with what the officer could have done in that situation. They all responded with what Florlando could have done.
That's what they're trained to see, man. They're trained to look outward.
It was painful to see what they could have done different in that situation. So I'm sure they didn't, because that pain also means that I'm talking against somebody that I am similar to. I'm talking against myself in some case. I hope no one would ever talk against me like that.
Do it anyway.
It's painful. Do it.
We're here to tell you, even if it's painful, do it anyway.
I think that's pretty. This world's a little scared of pain sometimes. I'm scared of that pain. That's the funny thing. Is like I can take this physical pain. I'm pretty good about getting tattooed. I put myself in a good trance, and then I'll run away from success enough that because of that small pain.
Think about the extreme terror that it can command over your life to go back to that 10-year-old child that has to rewrite a story that like you're not less likely to be successful because you lost your father. There's not things that you should have done. That's deep, dark shit. It's so much easier to have a certain pain right now, have someone punch me in the face, than go all the way back and look into my origin story.
Those physical pains are actually nice in many cases because you're like, I completely forget about the pain that lives inside of me. that's always there. That owns a room in my brain.
That you always try to keep the door shut to. You know what I mean? Like, just close that door off. I know it's there, but
fire escape or something. He knows how to get up.
100%,
yeah, he's in my head somewhere.
I only have 2 tattoos on my body, and one of the tattoos I have is I have a huge.
You don't know how to deal with pain.
I did a 7.5-hour session. I sat through one nonstop, 7.5 hours.
You're not pointing to your stomach, are you?
Yes, stomach and rib cage up my side.
Nice job.
So I have a samurai cutting off a demon's head, and the idea with that is by being a warrior in your life, you have to go back and you have to kill all your fears and your doubts and all the dark parts of your psychology, your shadow, the things that are going to try to make you less in this life. All of those things, they're not going anywhere. That's your own demon, and it's going to live in there forever. But by being a warrior, you cut the head off the demon. You disempower it. It no longer has that grasp over your future. Otherwise, because like one of my fighters one time said to me, he said, you either face fear or you live in fear of facing it. There are no other choices. My fighter said that to me, and I went, wow.
Yeah, where'd you pick that up, motherfucker?
He just dropped it on me.
Awesome.
We were having a conversation one time, and he goes, you either face fear or you live in fear of facing it. There are no other choices.
I was laughed at the no fear signs because you pretty much knew what that meant. It's like, you're scared of
I'm scared of everything, man.
Yeah.
That's why I have a gun. That's why I have these things, because I'm terrified of the world around me. No fear. No, that's called posturing.
That's why there's posturing so much in that world of gun. That
100, and I will agree with you.
You know, the numbers of like it seems like it's
and you're
fear
bothered by
personified.
that. You're bothered by that posturing. You know what I mean?
I
It's
am,
not
yeah.
really the gun. It's the way that people are with that. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to read.
I think I'm bothered by what we both know holistically comes out of the weakness that the gun creates. If I watch somebody who gets used to walking on crutches, then they could be lame for their life, save for their knowledge of trying to walk without them, you know? And the same with, I see a gun as a very similar crutch, because it isn't long that you'll talk about, if my stance is that I don't own a gun, and many people take that as a stance that like I'm so against them. It's like, nah, pretty much I'll hurt myself. Really, the truth of the matter is, I will either hurt someone close to me or myself, or I'll hurt people close to me by doing any number of that, you know? And so they imagine that I'm preaching against it in some fashion, like them. But
And
I'm
then
really preaching against the weakness that I believe it instills in them, because very shortly after you start talking about guns, they'll start talking about their legitimate, what they see as legitimate fears that they need those guns for. And my buddy tells me he's worried about China now. And like China, like not even on my map. I know, I mean, they should be, I know, but
like they're gonna invade mainland United States of America and
that's
kick
what he
your front
says
door
when-
in.
He actually said when they start landing on the beaches. And I was like, well, this is such a, from reality though. Like statistically, I know that I drive with you. You don't wear a seatbelt.
But there's a beauty
You
in
don't
this.
drive with your motorcycle with your helmet.
In the
So-
conversation, you're saying there's an extreme beauty in this. It's really all these people battling with fears. Just like you have to battle with fear and I have to battle with fear, that man has to battle with fear. We all just have coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
So what we need is a healthier populace of people with healthier psychologies.
Which takes, like you said, the deprivation, the level of consciousness. But in times in the past when we've tried to raise consciousness, it's often gone poorly. Maybe we need more psychologists or more LSD, one or the other, right?
Hey, there's a lot of ways to get there. All it is I'm hopeful that sometime in the future we continue to push towards that direction.
We got
because,
to.
you know,
as
we
long
need
as we
to.
remember, as America, at least we're in pursuit of a more perfect union. That's why I oftentimes talk of if I ever talk highly of I talk highly of the founding fathers actually often, but that we are in pursuit of a more perfect union. What a stupid thing to say, really. And so genius, all in the same time. Like, wait a second, more perfect? You understand the word perfect, right?
Yeah. It means like flawless, right? Like there's not a
So
degree above.
How do you get more perfect? Oh, it's accepting that there is never going to be perfection. Or even that the most perfect that you can imagine it now will still not be perfect for the future then. And that you are always continuing towards that.
And it's the pursuit of happiness, man. They wrote a lot of genius things in there. Happiness is fleeting. Happiness really has to come from
Yeah.
within. If you chase it, it seems to get faster and faster. No matter how fast you run, I am making this salary now. Why is happiness still eluding me?
I think that's where I'm stuck now. I find myself very happy inside of almost not doing anything. Like I know I'm going to come out of this. It was pushed on by the COVID, but I've always been a bit manic depressive. I've never been diagnosed, but it goes in my family, and I don't know that it doesn't exist in me. And so like there'll be times, like right now I'm in a relatively manic stage. I mean, not like right now with you, but the past couple of days I'm like, oh, I can feel it. I'm like, I want to talk to people more. I get in longer conversations. And then there's times when I'm just like, I don't even want to leave. I don't want to leave the house. Like taking the garbage out can be like, it's a lot of sunshine, you know?
No, 100%. And it's funny that you say that because my mom was a schizophrenic, and I've had periods where, you know, when I talked about delusional competence, I have periods where like sometimes I have zero motivation for anything and I feel down for no reason at all, and I feel so incredibly low, and I'm like, what in the world? And then other times I'm on top of the world. But as I got older, I just learned to like just observe, just like I enjoy the down and the up. Like it's just life. Like maybe I have parts that my mother struggled with and maybe I don't. But really at the end of the day, like not making it make so extremes has helped me a lot too.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of times when you're down, You start analyzing, like, why am I down? What's going on? Am I not going to do this? Why can't you just get up? Take the trash out. What's going on?
But sometimes it's good just to be in the down.
Bro, just observe. 100%. Just it. You know what?
I feel comfortable enough now. That's why I think I'm going to be coming out of it. I imagine around this COVID time. I'm really thinking that my next step is teaching, and it's a dangerous thing because inside of my field, teaching can get you ostracized. So if I teach the wrong way, too many, the wrong numbers, then I can be ostracized. Ironically, I've taught probably over 10 people at least how to tattoo in my lifetime. Anybody could look at that from the industry standpoint. Many of them like we have too many tattoo artists. A lot of crap ass kids are coming up. No, everybody's crap ass. You know what I mean? It's the same as it was.
And that's probably a fear. Don't teach other people how to do this. You're going to flood the market. There's going to be more people. It's more competition. What if I'm not good enough?
And then it's like, well, why don't you just be better, fucker? Like, why are you worried about how good? Like, if I can teach somebody to be better than you, why the fuck you sitting back there telling me to stop teaching people to be better than you? Why don't you just fucking take a lesson from me?
You're calling them out on their fears, man. You see,
there's a great, and they're good friends of mine that have actually worked at shutting down another friend of mine's tattoo college. And I was relatively excited for a tattoo college to come along because it's actually getting to a point where apprenticeships they're like 50-50. It could be good, or you could be a female about to get molested for the first time. You might be about to realize the patriarchal structure of the tattoo world, which it definitely exists. We were meant, Shanghai Kate, my tattoo mom. She's done this tattoo on me. She's about 85 years old. I love that woman so much. She is my tattooed mom. And, she came up in a time when no women tattooed. She was like one of 3 women in the U.S. tattooing. There is this patriotic. There's this fucked up society sometimes of. So yeah, I won't teach anybody to tattoo now, right? So I'll take everybody's advice and be like, "There's too many tattoo artists," but guess who doesn't? The shittiest of us. He takes them on and he says, "Come on in. Oh, you're a pretty little girl." And I keep using that because honestly, that one particularly has happened too many times, and in my friends' lives, because I've got a lot of female tattoo artist friends too. And now I find out with the hashtag #MeToo that popped off, some of them I would think hate me for if I watch their Twitter, I'm like, you personally have it out against me, like you want to chop my dick off with a cleaver or something, like you hate men. And then I go back, but I know these women, we're friends. They don't hate all men, but it scratched upon, somebody talked about something and it scratched, someone says, oh, we're sorry we lost this person, and it just happened to be the person that molested them, it does suck we lost this great icon in the industry or something, and it also sucks that they were this person. But the tattoo college gave me the idea that could go away. That if apprenticeships weren't, they start out on the power structure of I have something that you want, And if they're really loose, if they're free, you're probably going to get raped.
And this is all back to healthy psychologies, man. So if you're a guy that's seen all these things, that has empathy for other people, that has a talent, that has a love, that tattooing has changed your life, you need to be one of the people doing it, because do you want the shitheads to do it? So you have to step into that power,
right.
Let them point their finger.
Now you got to teach somebody. Yeah. Just to be the converse.
Well, if you desire it, if that's what if it will bring out the best Kyle, and you can enhance other people's lives, and you can do something that's powerful to them.
I know I can. It's the only thing I'm even set up for. It's because as much as I might not like to have ever looked at it, I've created something, and I can teach. In what my brain is structured as, even though it's a bit not homogenized, it doesn't fit in society necessarily all the time. It does have something that teaches other people. One thing that my ability to learn from other people, and then my long my long history of taking classes from people better than me. So like these great people that won't drop the F-bomb nearly as much as me, that are more articulate and better about the way they've structured their mind, their lives, and their career. I've taken their seminars, and I do know something. Even if it isn't the choice that I made. So like you might take my class from me, and you might get what someone else, you know what I mean? Like I learned that this person became this artist because of this structure. A lot of people think, how do you get good at portraits? And they'd be like, oh, you give away a lot of free portraits. The best people I know charged good money for every portrait they did. If they didn't, they forced themselves into a position of fighting out of a corner, and they can't win. Now they're mad at themselves when they pick 2 needles. So I got an 8-round and a 3-liner. I could just use a 3-liner, but the 8-round's going to make this more comfortable, easier, everything's going to flow better. But man, that's $5, and this person isn't paying any real money for this tattoo. And then it invades your choices and makes you make bad choices. That's one of the things that I see that I've learned that very few people, like I will take a seminar and no person has ever talked about that. You know, I've never had this great, like a Nico Hurtado or something, take the seminar. I've never had him say anything similar to that at all. However, I recognize it in his methodology. People might take the seminar too, and they walk away thinking, okay, I've got all the technical things to become a portrait artist, and I'm gonna start giving them out for free. And they're already fucking up their ability. You know what I mean?
So it sounds like you have a ton of information and tools and you have a lifetime of experience. You just plateau these people and go, because man, like even when you cited the fact like, well, I might have learned that from them. Dude, everybody does that. Like Les Brown was an amazing speaker. He heard from somebody else. Eric Thomas. I mean, that's how life works. Information flows. People pick up information. They add their insight, sometimes brilliance and genius to it, and then it adapts. Really, it's just a method.
It's not plagiarism, Kyle. It's appropriation.
No, I mean, it's you're a human being that
that's what
through
my art
life.
teacher told me when I talked to him the same. He's like, Kyle, you talk about, because I would come to his class and I would talk about, because he was just like, art day, you know, so anybody that's got a field in art, and you're one of my people. Now you've been on the TV show. Actually, even before the TV show, I was going to his class and doing that. But I would say basically my art exists because we've been stealing from each other for years. If you look at a Sailor Jerry, it's very iconically similar to the roses that people are still doing to this day. 100% stolen. And he's, Kyle, quit with the plagiarizing and the stolen. You appropriate.
Well, Matt, dude, flattery or imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? 100%, man.
Well, realizing that certainly helped me with the sticking points of how I felt like. But also, those sticking points made it easier for me to be there. Remembering that I always feel as though I've come from the gutter, right? And so if it's too high, it's hard for me to be there, you know? I've worked in these tattoo shops across the country, and some of them have made me very uncomfortable. I'm like, I can't. I feel so stifled in here.
Because you got to do that deep work, Kyle. You got to go, you know what? I can be this. I can be whatever I decide to be. And
right now, it's easier to feel like, well, I fit somewhere 2 or 3 down the line. Standing in first place is always the worst place. Not always. But it is, right? You stand in line in first place at the bank. Everybody's looking at you.
Well, here's what
all that anticipation. Do I even remember how much I want to withdraw? Where is this money going? Second place, you're just waiting.
It takes the most healthy psychology and the most confidence to be in the spotlight, to be the one up in front, to be the top dog, to be the one that people are seeking out, to be the instructor, to be the guy on that first place podium, because the spotlight is pointed directly at you and people with their little lens are going to try to find flaw. You know what? Broadcast your flaws. Be vulnerable. Be like, hey, yeah, I have these flaws and I'm still crushing it. And I'm still doing what I love. Yeah. And I'm still chasing my dream. And I'm still providing for my family. And you know what? You don't want new tattoo artists. I had 50 young, excited kids that I believe tattooing can bring inspiration in their life that are coming to me. And you know what? I'm going to train them to the fullest of my ability. And if they're better than me, good. That means I've done a great job.
That is something to be. And no one usually wants you to not, at least their argument is never that they don't want you to train anybody to be better than you. It's always that they think the market's flooded, and then they work backwards from their fears there to say, well, there shouldn't be colleges because you're just going to have way too many people in. Now you got financial aid for these people. Now you're getting the wrong type of people, which is already happening anyways in that opinionation, because we are getting actual artists now. And they come along so quick because they've already got so much knowledge. And that's who for me, nobody was graphic design when I was coming up tattooing. And then we started to see a few of these graphic designers who are like, wow, tattooing can make money. And they've already got some managerial stuff behind them too. They come out of college now. I never met a college degreed artist until it started happening. And then you're like, I kind of, honestly, I'm still a little bit that way just for fun. I guess for the humor of it. But I'm like, hey, you fucking art fag, get the fuck out. I can say faggot. I suck one dick a year. But just for I believe in freedom. You know, I put it on my face, like, and I built Ben Wallace it or whatever. I'm like, freedom.
You're allowed to be what you want in this life.
Yes. No, actually, I got in an argument with a gay friend of mine who is like, Kyle, man, you got to stop saying that. And I was like, man, the first time I ever had sex was with a dick. You know, if I could suck my own, I'd probably be good at that too. My wife leaves town or not town, but she takes the kids out. I got the house alone. I'm going to light some candles and get to know myself. Is that not gay? I mean, it feels like I should be able to, you know, say it. Here's what I know. We had a guy that was a civil engineer. His mother wouldn't let you forget it. The kid trained to be a civil engineer. He went to college, civil engineer. We found out when he was in college, though, he was sucking dick. We never called him a bridge builder. You know what I mean? Like, you would do it once, you're that. That's what I say. So if you've ever jerked off, I think you got the ability to say faggot. I could be wrong. Besides that, it's a bundle of sticks. And I'd never say it. I try to. I never do. I don't say it in a fashion that would ever
be derogatory or like condescending.
No, I love gays so much.
Yeah.
Like, I like my gays like my desserts. Flaming, man. Just and cream everywhere in my face. And no, I like the spice of life that gays have added to my, and now transgenders, I know two transgender, and like,
I'm actually hopeful to get one he's a gentleman now, but it was formerly Lauren Foley. She fought Amanda Bobby Cooper, and they had this amazing female fight, like back in the day. And there's our girl that went all the way to the UFC, and these two girls just slugged it out. Incredible fight. And since then, she's gone on. She's transgender, and she's now Landon Foley. And
is she fighting guys now?
No, she's not doing MMA anymore. Or
okay.
He's not doing MMA anymore. But I actually want to reach out to him and get him on the podcast and just like hear his life story, because so many people are so hateful at things they don't understand.
And for what purpose? Like,
and it's like, he doesn't affect you.
They made people angry. This is the thing where I want to take freedom of speech away almost. And I don't at all. But media has this desire to outrage. Facebook only exists to outrage.
They need you.
They don't remind you about the pretty pictures. Hey, did you see the cute picture that so-and-so posted? Because it got nobody's likes. But did you see the angry shit that somebody said about politics today? Check on this. Everything there is to outrage you. And so the media did this thing not too long ago where they exposed the verbiage of a group, a workforce of psychologists, and then they fucked up your whole world because they were like, listen, yes, there's only two biological genders, but that's a lie, actually, that we all just perceive and believe. But I knew a guy named Terry that grew up with a vagina and a penis.
That's a mere medical thing, though,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But that can happen.
Yeah, and it happens a lot. And generally, we used to just cut their penises off because it's much, well, not a lot, but certainly enough, and throughout the history of us, that we have got a lot of penises lopped off. Because it's easier to raise a kid defined by straight gender roles, by like this or that, right? And so it was easier to be like, okay, your baby's got a penis. We can't really reconstruct, we can't get rid of the vagina. Like, you don't just spackle that over. But we can just lop off a wang. So let's lop off a wang, we'll form it to a clit, and then this thing, that's wrong for me to say, but grows up with body dysmorphia. 100% caused by that. So I always try to remember that there are actually three genders, because, you know, I was friends with somebody that was, and also, what an awesome, like, if you were ever worried about being stuck out of heaven because you were gay or straight, like, how awesome is it to know that God made hermaphrodites? You're like, wait a second, where do they go? Like, they just get the golden ticket, right? They just get to fuck whatever the hell they want, I guess. Like, that's my fun. I don't know, my fun. But anyways, the transgenders I've met have really improved my life just by giving it like some spice or some variety, you know? And I like seeing that there's this argument now. I was kind of hoping it was going there, that this argument that transgender athletes should not be allowed in sports. But that's always when we think of, well, this male transitioned to a female and now has all these years of testosterone, and that isn't fair. But what if it were the opposite in this case, where if this woman became a man and wanted to fight men, aren't you going to say that's okay? Right?
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult conversation because like I remember like Fallon Fox was the first really big story. Remember that? It was a girl that it was a guy that became a girl and then started fighting female MMA and like cracked a girl's skull.
Okay.
Like because you're talking a male bone structure,
Right.
male testosterone, and literally cracked her skull, and then people started going like, Can we allow? But then all of a sudden you blur the lines of like, where do you say you can't do? It's difficult conversation.
It is, yeah.
It's very difficult.
But I think that's the difficulties that do need to be ironed out, really, because at the same time I do see if until
your
those
daughter's
people
in MMA.
are breaking heads, right? Because like there was one transgender. It was like I am still not the world's best in this field. So how is it that you can say I can't compete in it? If I was taking fourth and third places when I was a man, and now I'm a female, and I'm taking third and fourth places again.
I understand. It's black and white things like that because you either have to allow it or not allow it.
Right.
And if your daughter got into MMA and then you found out her next fight was against you knew a guy for 20
I'd be
years,
worried about it.
and you know it was a man his whole life, and he's transitioned. He's now a female.
It'd be like the bodybuilder ones that you're like, oh, you were in regular bodybuilding for 10 years and now you're doing natural.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you didn't do natural your whole life.
What happens is extremely difficult debate because I believe in human rights and people. Man, I want anyone to live,
Right.
to find happiness, as long as you're not harming other people or you're not infringing upon other people's rights. Like, man, live this life the way that you want to live it. It's your experience
It's your
too.
American dream. You're welcome to it.
It's your experience too. But there are like those really difficult topics and we have to disconnect from all emotions and just try to figure out logically like
Right.
what are the right answers. But those are very difficult. We could do a whole nother podcast just on that.
The media got this fomented not too long ago because they've given insight into laymen like myself and the rest of us all into the world of psychologists that have a different vernacular. If you imagine a conference going on between mechanics, right? And all the mechanics in the world show up. Well, the small engine mechanics are not going to be talking the same vernacular as the jet engine mechanics at all. You know what I mean? And there will be problems when they if you tried to force those two worlds together. But the media has done that in this fashion where they've taken psychology that recognizes 167 or more, I don't know, different genders. And then they've confused it with all of us that think biologically that only accept that there are two genders. And then they've created a space for outrage because it's change. It's change from what you're normal. But now it isn't really a change. It's just recognizing that these people need a way to talk about and discuss their clients that give them a history so that they can apply that history to their science.
Sometimes it's semantics too. I mean, because like words can have dual meanings. Words can be used in different, conversations to mean different things. Like biologically, there's the two genders plus I forget the official name. Hermaphrodite.
I don't know if that's right. It's probably wrong by now.
Okay.
That's why I went with for my whole life. And
Okay, so
one of them slaps me in the face, tells me to be more
But then when
respectful.
you get into the psychology that if someone believes themselves to be other, so it's just the media wants you outraged. That's
Yes.
where we should end this with. The media is in the business of getting you pissed off, pointing you at it.
Hopefully we made a couple people mad today then.
You know what I mean? They want you to look at someone else, know they're your enemy, hate them, focus outward, and think that you're solving the problems where you will do more for the world if you solve the inner problems and you encourage other people to do the same. Stop being outraged. Stop giving away your emotional control to somebody else.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's why I don't tattoo. I try not to. Definitely, right arm is always the careful arm. But for the same reason, you're giving power away. If you put a memorial tattoo here, someone says, "Oh yeah, your dad there died. Fuck your dad, he's a piece of shit." Now he controls me. Like family tattoos, I say stay up underneath the shirt. You choose to show it. It's not right for like cancer ribbon on the right arm though. I'm like, please. I try to talk like let's not have every conversation that you ever start shaking a hand with start around one of the worst moments or the worst thing in your life, unless you're like driven for cancer awareness or like, no, I help out every day. That's my thing.
No, for real. A lot of people don't get their lives together because they are always outraged. And it's like for the amount of time that you're spending being outraged, being upset, if you took that energy and you applied it to your family, you applied it to your life, you applied it to your psychology, you will change so much more than you realize. But they're in the business of keeping you outraged. Yeah. Stop.
I think that's you've helped me then actually with that today, because that's where I spend or have been, and I've been disassociating. I've been trying to get off of the media. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, I'm really bad about even returning text messages. I think I have 7 or 8 of them I haven't looked at, like in about a day, maybe day and a half.
And again, it's healthy relationships. Like, social media is a tool. If I use it incorrectly, it can control my life. It can control my outrage. Or if I use it correctly, it can connect me to people. It can inspire me with other ideas. It can, when I see someone being negative repeatedly, that's a friend of mine on Facebook, I don't even unfriend them. I just unfollow them. I don't even want the drama of them being, why'd you unfriend me? Well, you're being really negative right now, or the things you're saying are kind of hate. I'm just not going to watch it.
Need to see it.
I don't need to play into the story anymore, but I have a tool that can connect me with other artists and people that I'm inspired by, and I can watch life unfold from an observatory lens and go like, wow, this thing is really a cool experience, I
think I'm taking away from it is not from it, your overall, but I mean from this actually is just that I do spend enough time at outrage that should be spent somewhere else. And if I spend it on those other things, I'll greatly improve my life.
100%. Well, man, we have talked for 3 hours. It is 3 hours, effortlessly flowing conversation, nonstop. And for anyone that watches my show, like I don't write down anything in advance. I just sit down with another human being and I enjoy life. You know what I mean? And today was one of the most enjoyable interviews and experiences from someone that, I
had fun with it too. I actually wouldn't mind coming back. I would actually like to, this is actually all interesting to me. So actually, I'm going to get out of here because I know I've already taken up enough of your time. But if I ever do come back, I do want to be interested more in you, because this facility that is grown out of a love of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is it, no one interviewed you on here yet?
No.
Do they know your story?
I mean, a little bit. I think one day I'll probably bring in maybe my longest student. Like, I have a kid that was with me, one of the first kids that ever trained with me in the basement all the way to this day. And I was the young kid telling him one day all these things are going to happen. And he was kind of like, yeah, coach, sure. You know what I mean? I thought how cool would it be to completely flip the script one day and have him through his lens tell the story of what he witnessed and ask any questions he would want, because it really has been an amazing journey. But like you, I try to always focus outward on other people's successes and things like that. And I don't care about putting my story out at all. I care about other people.
That
you know what I mean?
It won't serve you as well either.
100%.
So you can't even be. Is that egotistical? What is it? You can't even be self-centered when you're focusing on yourself. It's fucked up.
100%, man. So truly, Kyle, it was a pleasure today. 3-hour podcast means I have a lot of editing to do. I completely do all these editing. I produce this entire podcast from start to finish myself.
That's some work.
So truly, man, it was an honor. Thank you so much for being here. No problem. We'll wrap this thing up.
No problem, man. Thank you. I appreciate the chance